gonna steal all side, ride me, baby. I ain't never gonna stop. Come on now, baby. Ride me straight to the top. Yeah, straight to the top.
All right. Bad ideas. Good stories. Number 18. 1, 2.
No, I think it's number 19.
That's right. Number 19. 1, 2, 3.
Legal.
Clap.
Legally.
Yeah. Barely
All
legal.
right.
Our barely
Yeah,
legal
barely
episode.
Yeah. Good ideas, bad stories.
Oh,
now,
my God.
with us today, I think we may have, if there's a Hall of Fame of bad ideas, good stories, you would definitely be at least a janitor, if not in there.
The janitor.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
Pete Booth janitor for the
The Pete Booth janitor for the all-time bad ideas, good stories concept.
Oh, man.
yeah.
Fucking right. This is one Savage Henry. Round of applause.
Yeah, fucking hear it from
Applaud
me.
me.
God damn it.
Not enough Savage.
Oh,
applause.
man.
We're one Russell short today.
I got to take
So-
it easy. My palms are tender.
Palms are tender. Mom
Yeah.
spaghetti. Isn't that how that rap goes?
I think
No? I don't know.
Spaghetti, spaghetti.
That one Eminem did. We're short one Russell today because he's on a what I've been calling a sexcation.
He's the text guy.
He's on a-
the tech guy.
yeah,
that
he's
Russell-
the tech guy that usually
He's the
runs our
guy.
shit. Yeah.
He's the guy that makes this podcast not suck.
Hey,
So this
That
one's-
is pretty much
We're
it.
gonna
Yeah.
find out, folks.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would just be recording it with like an iPhone stuck in the middle of the table.
If this sounds as shitty as I think it's going to, we'll
man.
definitely be having him back shortly, and
I'll make it shitty.
He'll rub it in our face.
I'll make it shitty, but it's going to cost extra.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you
Well,
won't be able to rinse it off.
yeah, so we're doing our own sound this episode, and we're looking at the screen of the computer to make sure we're not messing anything up. For those of you that are watching the video and you've seen our intro, Savage Henry is the man that wrote, Ram It Down, the song that we used for the intro.
That's right. Ram It Down is one of my works.
Classic
One of my
riffage.
hits. It's one of my hits. It's one of many.
One of my sit hingles.
Yeah. It's just
No, I think it's pronounced shingles.
it's kind of what I do. It's just
Yeah.
Right hits, hit after hit after hit.
I blow loads
Ram it down.
and write hits.
Keep touching it,
That's-
Dusty. This will help.
It's all I know.
So-
It's yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourselves. If someone didn't know what a Savage or a Henry was.
Well, I'm a fucking rock star. Basically, if there's still such a thing these days as a rock star, is especially a Canadian one, which was rare to begin with, because really fucking Canadian music sucks. Pretty much outside of my band, I mean, present company excluded.
we can't all be Trooper.
You guys are legendary.
Burton
but I mean,
Cummings,
you
right?
know. Pretty much everybody else fucking blows, right? So I'm the guy. I mean, when you talk about Canadian punk rock,
This is the guy.
legendary Canadian punk rock bands. I mean, I'm at the top of the fucking list, basically. If you don't know, then you don't know.
Just ask
I
me.
mean, yeah, fuck. Just
It's a
ask me.
heap. It's a
Just
pile.
ask me.
Whatever it is,
I'm
he's
a
at the top
fucking
of
laugh
it.
riot. Just
It's a
ask me.
steaming, oozing pile of fucking rock and roll greatness,
Great.
and it just gets. We just keep getting better. That's the thing, you know. A lot of bands, a lot of artists kind of fizzle after that first couple albums. Ours are just. They just keep getting better and better. And I haven't written one in a couple years, so I'm a little pent up.
Yeah.
And I've recently gone off my fucking meds too, so it's going to be a real fucking doozy.
It's going
A
to
real
be a real
2020, if you will.
Oh fuck! It's going to be the music for this time.
Of a generation, of a moment. Of
Well,
the
we've been around a long time,
shittiest
so I mean, if
fucking time in the
you
last
look at
100
our
years.
albums, I mean, they kind of frame the time period they were written.
Maybe you
in,
could do like a sensitive ballads of 2020.
abuse it or lose it. Yes,
Sensitive
Yes.
ballads.
You know what? And I've never even seen anybody
kindest-
drink
the-
a bottle of Malibu with a girl from the wrong side of the tracks in
Oh,
quite a while.
man,
So I mean,
yeah.
maybe that was
in a
just of that
bitchin'
time.
custom van.
That's what I'm
I'm
talking
getting
about.
a fucking another van right away.
Yeah,
you know
you are.
that?
Why wouldn't you?
I want to get a camper van. I'm
Fuck
really
yeah.
stoked on that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. You had my
Fleet
old
of
one,
vans.
and then it
I-
never really got put back together. right?
Yeah, kind of shit the bed. I don't know what the fuck.
That it happens.
Yeah.
Old vehicles
Yeah.
are hard to maintain.
The suspension got all pounded out in the back and fucking.
All those leaf
There were
springs are
some
just fucking
fucking
nothing
stains
left.
you couldn't get out of there. I mean, it was an '82 Dodge, so it comes with stains, but it left with more stains. And eventually, I had to get something else. So I'm getting another van though. The fucking Henry's gonna be back in the Vitchin custom van.
There's what are they called? Fucking something sauna. The drug sauna from Calgary. They two piece and they play out of their van at all those gigs. They,
Drug sauna. That's a
Yeah.
good fucking idea.
Yeah, they just set up their amps right in the van. They pull up and
I'm gonna make a fucking sauna in
Yeah?
my van.
Yeah.
Just fuck.
Imagine.
You don't need music. Just
I'm an artist.
steam heat in there. Fog up the fucking windows. I fogged up the windows in my fucking car on the way over here. I tell you, I'm off my meds. Horny as a fucking two-pecker billy goat, man.
They gotta start shortening those stop signs because you're blowing 2 or 3 loads of stop at
Oh
this point.
shit, man! I
Get
found
that
out
traffic moving.
the fucking Golden Girls was on Amazon Prime Video. I just about ripped my fucking dick off.
Well, you know what? I appreciate you even coming out then. 'Cause,
Well,
I
told you, my
assume you
palms.
should be buried in the basement. Yeah.
Fucking sensitive, man. Hey,
You got that Rue McCallaghan glow about you.
they're like budding. It's like I have budding breasts in the palm of my hands, like,
But they're blisters.
but they're part of my hands. Let me get that.
Which
straight.
came first?
and you
Yeah,
can
The
legally
hand
touch these.
blisters or
What if you did have tits on the palm of your hands? Like, what if it was an option?
Do we know Cash doesn't? The way he's been modifying stuff? He might have added a set of tits to one hand.
Definitely fucking suggest it. I
Yeah.
mean,
If you're listening, Cash, set of tits
if you
to one
had
hand.
it, if you had a nipple in the palm of your hand, what would come out of that nipple?
Hopes and dreams?
Oh fuck!
Things nightmares are made of. I think that's opposite ends of the spectrum. That's
Well,
all
I
you
know
get
what
nothing
I'm
to
going
do.
to be
Those are opposite
fantasizing
ends of
about
the
when I get out of
hopes
here.
and dreams or things
There's
and nightmares.
no middle ground with the
Hopes
hand
and
nipple.
nightmares.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this 2-3 weeks now?
Yeah, since 1998.
That's right.
So I mean, that's a lot of fucking
Revolving door.
chicks that were fucking young and tight and fucking hot are now fucking worn right the fuck out, and I'm still fucking young and spry, and you know, it's
Spry,
It's,
yep.
it's oh fuck, man.
I get older, they stay the same age.
You seem spry. Yeah.
Man, yeah, I know. I got a fucking lyric, a song lyric where the song is about masturbating. Believe it or not, I don't know where I came up with that one, but
Hey, art imitates life sometimes.
I
Life
came
imitates art. You know where we're going.
and yeah, it has a lyric about you know, I wrote in there, think about a girl half my age, and I'm like, holy shit, you probably have to realize that I'm in my 40s.
Yeah, that's important.
That's important. I was in my
Where-
40s when I fucking wrote
It's what
that.
everybody's doing right
Yeah.
now. Hey, you're like somebody
Yeah.
half my age. Like, nah, that seems right.
I'm going to write notes. I'm going to
Yeah.
write notes.
Take notes, yeah.
Take
Oh,
notes.
we'll get back to
Just
jail
those
bait.
fucking
Is this
notes.
is this for
just,
the report?
Just write a
afterwards?
few things down and condense it, and that shit, if you live by it, will get you laid.
Right. Well, yeah. So one of the things I really
Fucking-
gender politics was a big thing. I think we were
Ooze
going to talk
much is
about.
oh.
We had to
Age
Oh,
of
God.
consent.
Ah,
Yeah,
yes,
fuck.
yes.
No, thank you.
Yes, I like
Yeah,
age of consent.
Species of consent.
Yep.
Species of consent.
You know,
Well, we
it's
did
funny.
have we did
It's
have a deal
funny.
about muskrat fucking on the last one.
Well,
so
okay.
we
It's
have to have that
probably
talk.
it's get this. This is probably right. I haven't looked into law books, but am I a little too close?
No, just keep doing you.
I tend to do that.
Keep doing
I
you.
tend to do that. Sorry, baby.
Here, let me get the bear.
It's not
move
in
the
you,
fucking
which
mic
is
away from me.
surprising
If
to
you
me.
were to actually fuck a muskrat, I believe you would be violating some statute or another. I don't think that it's legal unless, and I know that this is right, the muskrat is dead.
Because it's not
He knows
technically
that
abuse.
it's right
No.
legally.
Well, think of it this way. If I went and fucked a chicken, I'd be some kind of a monster. But if I kill it, cut off its head, rip out its breast meat, slice a slit into that, and fuck it, I'm just jerking off.
Yeah,
it's just my
it's-
thing. Leave me alone, man.
It's just love.
Don't shame me.
Yeah,
right,
that's
you
a
know.
very interesting
So that's
evolution.
interesting.
Yeah.
So alive, no good. Parts okay.
Yeah.
Course
Basically.
makes sense. Yeah. And you can eat it after.
Yeah.
There was a- Jesus Christ.
Hey, what you guys doing later? I'm having barbecue.
No, now. Wow.
Yeah.
Being uncomfortable, probably.
Well,
Not sleeping
you know.
again. Yeah.
Jeez, how do you get it so salty?
Why does it smell like Clorox?
I just,
The way you assume and the reason you assume.
oh dear. Yeah. So fuck yeah. Fucking chickens.
Yeah, making music for many
Making.
moons.
Oh man.
Man, a buddy of mine went to Amsterdam. He was telling me he was going down the red light district, and he's looking at these windows, and he sees this picture of a guy with a big smile, and his finger is in a chicken's ass, like in a magazine. Like he's like, apparently that's a thing you can do. Yeah, you can.
You're here right now.
Welcome to Amsterdam. Have a nice day.
The laws are different over
The
there.
laws are different in lots of places. Yeah.
You don't have to kill. The
That was
chicken
advertising
first,
rental
apparently.
properties, even. Hey? Hey, if you lived here, you'd be home with your finger in a chicken's ass.
Hey,
It's your
What
landlord.
sells, baby?
what
You
a
know what I
man
mean?
and his dead chicken do behind closed doors is nobody's business but theirs.
That's on so many levels. That's very valid. Yeah.
And discuss.
Yeah.
And
you at home,
discuss.
please get into that and definitely write us about it.
Here's another idea. If let's say you're not fucking just chicken breast. Say you're fucking chicken bologna. It's a it's a big hunk of uncut bung bologna, and you got it, carve out a cock hole in it, and you're fucking that, right? Maybe a little mustard for lube. I don't know, whatever you fucking do smells weird to me, but
I feel like using the term bung leads us to believe that maybe you have some like inside industry knowledge about this, how certain things made.
I
Even-
might know a thing or two. I might know a lot of things.
Thing or two,
a
about
bung
a
of
thing or
bologna,
two.
if you will.
My point with this was, if you're fucking a bologna, and it's chicken bologna, it could be anything.
Or
but
beef.
Yeah,
beef
whatever,
bologna.
whatever turns you on.
Mental loaf.
That has probably got the DNA, the body parts of more than one chicken. So just by the nature of the fact that it's fucking bologna you're fucking, and not just like a pressed ham like a normal person, does that count as group sex?
Yeah.
Then
Like bestiality orgy.
necro-bestiality.
Necro-bestiality orgy. Man, that's like a Cannibal Corpse song or something.
Yeah. And it's,
You know what? Somebody somewhere is standing up and slow clapping, going, "Finally,
Somebody
someone's
recognized-
as they're
talking
walking-
about it.
as they're
This is
walking
what I
over-
want to
As
hear."
they're walking over to the fridge to get that bung bologna out.
Oh, you think they don't even have one on?
Fucking
They're
blinds.
wearing that bung of bologna
Pulling
right
down
now,
the-
looking at
pulling
their
down
neighbors
the
through the fucking
blinds.
blinds. Exactly, right?
Getting out the mustard.
Set the mood.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
You feeling fancy? Get that
It's only
Dijon.
fucking Monday, too. You
Yep.
know?
French
You could fuck a different meat every day of the fucking week.
different meat
If-
every day of
I
the
have.
week. It's
Fucked.
never going to be a tasty treat. Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, my God.
Those are
that was a
human
time and
people
place.
you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Time and
Yeah.
place. Well, not at the time.
Oh,
They were just objects.
So we mentioned before, this is a lot of comedy, folks, right? This is some jokes. We're all
Aye.
friends here, just
Yeah.
laughing about things,
Yeah,
having a good time,
Yeah. I mean,
talking about musical futures.
So how far have you played? Like tour-wise?
tour. I've played in Vegas 3 times. I've played down in South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio,
Oh, shit.
and
Across Canada.
and then Western Canada.
Oh, okay.
The furthest east I've ever gone is Winnipeg, and it turned me off so fucking much. The East is dead to me. If there's anybody out there listening, sorry.
There's anything
know what?
past the Manitoba
If
border?
Winnipeg
I
is
don't
the
know.
river Styx I have to cross to get
something
there.
has driven a wedge between us, and that is Manitoba. And I don't even look east.
I thought maybe there's Antifa protests,
Oh,
that you
no.
can't play there, you got a bunch
Yeah,
of
you know what?
placards and
Fucking
I don't know, man. I think Antifa would be on board with you. I've never seen someone want to fuck everything, including the system, or in my entire
Right?
life. So you want to fuck
Right?
the system, you need a guy who knows how to fuck, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you can't,
Are we 5 minutes in even yet? I think it's fucking. I was
don't
just
know.
thinking about you ever put shit on YouTube, they demonetize you if you swear
No,
within
yeah,
the
yeah.
first 5
That's
minutes.
why we're on
I'm
Vimeo,
thinking-
so they can't take us off.
Yeah,
They can't
Oh,
exactly.
I was gonna say it's okay to fucking
Can't
swear
road-
and
Ah,
be.
good.
No, I
Yeah,
just thought it was
yeah.
funny to me. I couldn't
Yeah,
care less.
do
I
they
just,
do that? Do they actually?
They demonetize fucking shit if you put it on there and you swear in the first
shadow
5 minutes.
bans and stuff like that, all
Wow.
kinds of that. They won't
fucking-
even
A lot
add
of
their
fucking-
podcasts are working
the
to try and get
fucking
past that
man.
5 minute mark. Yeah,
The fucking man. It's so confusing.
it's coming down on us.
The man.
Well, we could get into that a little bit. Pat and I were already begun a discussion about the man coming down on you.
coming men
yeah.
everywhere. It's raining men.
It did seem like something that Savage Henry wanted to weigh in on.
Well,
Shadow bans.
I was.
boycotts, cancel
boycotts.
culture.
That's what it used to be,
Cancel
right?
I got all of these things. These are like my regular conversation pieces. I'm just like,
The world you live in.
Yeah. Well, it's real and relevant to what I do. That's for sure. I mean, it's
is it true you scare waitresses?
I used to,
He's reformed.
but I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think they liked it, and I'm pretty sure they did. Deep
Story of
down
my life.
inside.
And with any of these interactions, I only ever seen you assaulted. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Genitally speaking,
Yeah.
you're the one getting punched in the balls
I
on
got
stage.
punched in the dick one time.
Yep.
Frank and me.
I don't even know why. Man, that chick was hot too. Do you remember her? That I don't know what her fucking name was. I haven't seen her in years.
that hot girl that punches guys in the dick.
Oh man,
I know her.
She had these big blue angry
all three of us
eyes. and
dated
she
her at some point. We don't know who
she
it is.
just reached up and fucking right in the fucking.
Frank and me.
Yeah, luckily I had a fucking pair of woolly socks in my underwear that day, and it didn't
'Cause it
really
was cold.
hurt. Yes,
Yes.
it was. Yeah,
Temperature shit.
I wanted to represent. I wanted to look as though I would if I had just stepped out of the sauna van,
The drug sauna, yeah.
the drug sauna, and was hanging loose, showing, growing. And it was a cold day, so I just put a pair of woolies in there, and it was an accurate representation, I thought, of the man I am on a warm day.
Plus,
That's
I think
the reason
I
I
think she
dice here.
appreciated
Don't
that
need to
too,
get 'em.
because I do remember her coming back for seconds on that one too.
Well,
She definitely
yeah,
hit you in the balls
if
once,
you-
and when it didn't phase you,
Trust
she came
me,
back.
if you ever get to punch me in the balls, you're gonna want to do it again. It's quite the
just
it's
like a
quite
Lay's
the fucking
potato chip,
experience.
eh?
Yeah. You can't punch just one.
yeah.
Man.
Fuck, that's funny. But yeah, no, okay. Would you want to talk about this? We were
How
talking
many
about Rogan a
albums?
bit.
How many
Oh,
albums?
we're
you
gonna-
have?
yeah.
We got 4 studio albums and a live album. And
Abuse It or Lose It.
Abuse It or Lose It is the first one. I love that record.
Yeah, absolutely.
Second Coming of Savage Henry and the Infamous One Powders. I think that came out in 2009. And then
So 1989 or 1990, and then
1998,
2009.
Yeah. Well, it takes when you're carefully crafting fucking hit songs. We took a long time to practice those ones and get them together. But then we come up with hits like "Killed by Porn," and you know that the wait was worth it.
What was the live album? Was that it?
The live album, it was. Oh, it was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, I got we multi-tracked at the Amigos. The last time we ever played at Amigos. Great place. It's like a fucking home to me. These people are like my family. And we're not allowed to play there
So it's
anymore.
much more like your family still. Is.
Yeah.
You're still having right around for
Well,
Thanksgiving.
It's like a family reunion where the cousins are like,
I
"He's not
still
coming
go
again."
there and it's and stuff, but it's like I'm the family member they don't like to talk about. And, if you're bringing your new girlfriend home for Thanksgiving dinner, you might want
Creepy
not-
Uncle Henry
You
might
don't
be out.
invite Uncle Henry.
Yeah.
Uncle Henry's not allowed to play there anymore. We packed that fucking place, man.
Oh man, you guys have
Made
had
so
some
much
of
money,
the
but-
best gigs I've been to, like the biggest party gigs. Where was it? The one at Parktown where there was the
Oh fuck!
yeah, that was
Yeah,
a great
that was a
gig.
good time. That's a
And
long
then
time
I
ago.
think it was a chop meat one when you guys played in the Dundurn barn.
The
And people
barn.
were swinging off the rafters.
Yeah,
Holy
man, and
shit.
I rode my fucking chopper out in front of the
I
stage.
missed that
and-
one actually, but
Yeah,
the other one was.
and we did it one time too, where I sat on this like stretcher of some kind, and these guys put it up over their shoulders, and I was like, just
the throne.
they fucking carried me in like that, and that's really how I like to enter any fucking room. Like, if those stairs
Carried in
weren't
like a
if those
pharaoh.
stairs weren't so fucking steep,
Yeah, you'd been riding me down.
that's
them?
how I would have got in here. But,
Yeah.
you know.
I still have video of that Dundurn gig here on my phone, actually, and
Oh.
maybe I'll segue it in. I heard you're
Yeah,
only going to be
put
able to be around for a
fucking
little while, so maybe I
clip
can
of that in
segue
there.
those two between there and just do that little video clip to show what Savage Henry's like live.
The last show we played was New Year's Eve here with the at the Black Cat Tavern. Great place. They still let me play there. Hats off to
They're
them.
not dicks.
Yeah, they're not fucking scared of whatever politically correct fucking garbage might be out there these days. You know what? That stuff is evolving so fast that the people that are
That I
offended
can't
by
even
me
keep
are
up.
gonna be offensive soon enough.
Yeah, they're going to be offended by themselves.
Yeah,
It is evolving quickly.
yeah.
Yeah. I think the PC culture is going to eat itself. And like, okay, think about it. Like, if you're righteous and nobody else is as righteous as you, and you
Yeah.
kind of play who's righteous the most, who's going to be at the king of the heap? Who's going to be the Jesus? That's
There's
like,
gonna be nobody left.
Yeah. Like they're going to be the winner
Oh,
of the cancel culture. Everybody else is canceled.
Yeah,
There's
who is the best combination of the most marginalized?
Yeah. Well, fucking, handicap Jesus. Who's going to be handy Jesus? Gay, trans, handy.
Exactly.
Whatever. Handy trans, whatever.
You can't say that.
Oh, I can say lots of things. You don't even know how much I bite my tongue on this fucking thing. Anyway, so yeah, maybe we'll touch on it. It'll be interesting,
Well, yeah, because I think that's gonna be a big conversation. We get into that fucking thing, but that's somebody's got to do it.
We'll have to bring out your manager or whoever that other guy is, and then we'll have
Yeah. We'll do that. That fucking guy.
that fucking guy,
The fucking wet blanket.
rational.
Wet blanket and a dry tampon all at the same time.
Fuck.
Wet blanket, dry tampon.
What the fuck are we talking about?
I don't remember. I started.
You not being
Oh,
alive.
okay.
My mind is
So you have
wandering.
there's Savage Henry, and then there's the infamous One Pounders.
Yeah, that's the backing group. That's
So
like,
so how does that work? Like, give us a lowdown. Like, you've had a couple like steady guys that have been with you. a
oh
long time,
yeah. Like our bass player. That's Uno Tramirez, and he's been more or less a member of the band from about 2000 on.
Okay.
He had to go to Kingston for 5 years, and so we had somebody else in that period of time. But when he came back, he's
Had to
back
do
on
with the
board
chickens
and
and
it had nothing to do with chickens.
Oh,
But it was,
it was a thing.
it was a thing. Anyways, yeah, so he's pretty long-term member, and El Macho, that asshole.
Luchador E.
Yeah, he's been in the band for quite because he wasn't on Second Coming, but he was on the fucking good one, Raw Gonzo.
The good one.
Yeah. Oh, they're all good. They're all good, but Raw Gonzo's my favorite.
Yeah,
think a lot of people probably like
actually,
Gonzo.
I'd lie to say that there was albums I didn't like. That would be a lie. I like all of them hold their own, and I love all of them. I really love Abuse It or Lose It, and Raw Gonzo's sick.
Yeah, well, Abuse It's nice, and like we were young and fresh out of the chute, and there was a lot of pussy to fuck in those days. It was easier because we were all pretty young.
And Me Too hadn't happened yet.
I mean,
You were able to carve your swath through,
Man.
establish your foundation for when Me Too came out.
I could literally walk off the stage and swing my dick and hit somebody who would like it in any direction. Those are the days. The 90s.
Those were the days.
The 90s, the 2000s.
So if people want to hear your stuff, they can go on Bandcamp.
Yeah, Bandcamp. Actually, we're all up on Spotify.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all up Spotify, all over. It's YouTube. You can check out our our entire live album is in video form on YouTube. And
Want to explain your video processing? Your artistic process for the videos for the album?
I like to have females in the videos because I find that we're not all that interesting to look at, and
If anything, it's a bit of a turnoff.
Yeah, so we try and counter that with a chick who's got a hot body, and her face doesn't matter because she's wearing a mask. That's part of the reason why I wear the mask too, is so that people aren't just into me for my looks.
They pay attention to the music.
That's right.
Yeah. Video did kill the radio star.
Fuck yeah. I mean, you get ugly motherfuckers that were stars, and all of a sudden, no. Just, face
or if
for
you're too
radio.
beautiful, they don't pay attention.
Well,
to music.
that's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just
That's why we started this podcast, honestly.
Take me fucking seriously. Okay, you can look at my body, but I don't want to be just another pretty face, right?
Don't
we
objectify you.
Yeah, so we tend to I like to have a dancing girl because it sets a good example for the crowd, as this is what you should do.
Point.
Get up and shake
This is what you should do.
shake your ass and your tits, and
And that's gender neutral. Anybody can do that.
anybody can do it. Here's another thing. Like people will say, "Oh, you're objectifying women and you're whatever with your music." Like, that's because I'm a heterosexual male. If I wasn't, I could be saying, "Well, here's an interesting thing."
You'd be objectifying men if you were a gay man.
Now, would it make a difference? Would we be a little more acceptably, sociably acceptable if we were, in fact,
Gay dudes talking about shake your dick.
yeah,
slap.
we'd be fucking heroes probably.
Smack him with the dick. Oh yeah, 100%. Or
it's
Pussy Riot. Pussy Riot.
Yeah,
lesbian,
yeah.
Russian,
Mask,
ski
another mask
masks.
band.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I stole your thing, but
Oh no, we stole it long before them.
Stole it on the long China.
There are so many ski mask bands that you could probably have a music festival with nothing but ski mask bands.
That'd be fucking awesome. Actually,
That's no lie. I would really like to know in continental North America how many fucking ski mask bands there are. I should really try to get that going.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting.
As a matter
Although
of-
once you reached out and said, "Hey, you may have heard of us," they'd be like,
Andy,
slow
we had
stepping back.
we had Andy drumming for a couple years, and Andy was in the Browns at the same time that he's in this band. So he's in two fucking ski mask bands at the same time.
Armored Saint. I kid.
The Browns.
Slipknot.
Yeah. Oh, just. Well, that's you get it. That's like gore. You
Yeah,
get into the
exactly.
fancier-
Yeah, true.
That doesn't count.
Would you
I'm
count
talking-
the
You're talking
Jasons
about
in there?
straight ski
I am
masks.
talking like right from the Army surplus fucking ski masks.
There's this weird crossover Antifa band from Russia called Moscow Death Brigade, and
Really?
they're like kind of like rap metal, and
Do
they
they
do
wear
like the balaclava black ones.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
but they're fucking Russian.
I wish.
Can
you know what?
expect anything but, you know?
The only reason we got the white ones is because the white ones is what they sell at the
Army
surplus.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, they were cheap. Oh, recently they stopped selling them there though. And
They heard about you.
Yeah, as you can see, some of the masks are getting into disrepair a little bit. I'm gonna have to like take them and get them stitched up.
I need a mask guy.
We need somebody. We need somebody.
Or wear like leather hoods with zipper masks and just change the game up.
Man. I bet you that'd be fucking sweaty. People always say, "Is that fucking sweaty? Is that sweaty? Is that hard?" And I'm like, "No, it keeps the fucking
Oh, I
sweat
guess, yeah.
out of my eyes."
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like a headband.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a performance model.
That's right. If you wear one, it'll keep the semen out of yours.
Which I don't know that it would though.
No, there's holes.
You've been looking through them the whole time.
Shit. It's a fucking real eye opener there.
Right. Pink eye.
Anyway,
I don't know. I hear it's really bad. The semen enzymes kind of try and eat at your eye. It's uncomfortable. I've heard.
I jizzed in a chick's eye one time and it got all pink.
Yeah.
Look at it like she it wasn't real pink eye. I don't think.
No. That's if you
just-
poop.
The rose AI.
Yeah. But then it just became another one of my things that I like to do. Then, came up a chick's nose one time.
Yeah.
I was trying to come in her eye, but
You moved.
yeah,
You moved.
Yeah, fuck. I told her to fucking lay still. Pretend you're dead. I said pretend you're dead.
Crawl in the freezer for 30
Get
seconds.
back in that bathtub full of ice water. God damn it, it's Halloween.
Hold your breath. Don't look at me.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just about there. Shit.
Well, getting grosser by the second.
Yeah,
This is
yeah. No, that's not grosser than the fucking chicken bologna.
good. Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, right.
Chicken
what was I thinking?
bologna.
No, we started off strong. We're just kind of like.
So a lot of people, they have commentary that you have a lot of local content in your music. Last time you saw her live, dropped her off on Fairlight Drive.
Yeah,
you know.
man. I sing about what I know.
Yeah.
The Saskatoon. We got Cougars on the Prowl, right? Cougar on the Prowl in Saskatoon. That song is so old now that if you were young and tight and firm and supple at the time and you thought it was funny, lady,
That
you're
song's about
probably
you.
a cougar now.
That song's about you. See it, buds.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's
Or
just
amigos.
Any chick over 25, let's be honest. Just fucking squirt out a couple
Over
of
in the
pups.
bar.
I don't know. It's
pups.
cougar. It's cougar country, right there.
It has its moments. Well, and even those bars that people at one time were like, oh, this is such an ironic, funny song, and they just stayed there for the next 15 years. You go to those, young punk rock vibe bars? Yeah, they're all middle-aged punk rock bars now. I realize
Everybody's sitting down. Their
most of my
backs
punk
hurt.
friends are mid-40s now.
Punk rock is kind of an older. Yeah, we played at punk rock bowling in Vegas 3 times. Not at the festival itself, but whenever
We
that
showed up with our amps.
whenever they have punk rock bowling, they have a lot of punk bands playing in various venues throughout the city, and so we did that a number of times. And it's punk rock people, or you go to punk rock bowling. Punk rock people tend to be at least mid-20s
Yeah?
and up.
Yeah, it's not a young
Yeah,
person's
no,
edgy thing.
I don't know what the fucking kids are into these days.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
Well, man,
I know what they're
the
into, but I'm
K-pop.
not allowed to say it out loud.
Yeah, no, K-pop. That's what the kids are into.
What the fuck is
Like,
K-pop?
like Korean fucking pop music.
It's like the major GDP, gross domestic product. It's one of the major things that the government of Korea sponsors and finances and makes money for the country is exporting their pop music.
That's and it's going to
Mad
turn us all into
manufactured.
communists.
Yeah.
Hey, if we play our cards right. No, to do the stand-up thing there on Friday, and one of the other comics, there was 2 of them. One guy, I think he's only 19, and the other guy's maybe 20, 21. And I don't know what the fuck they were talking about, but then he started educating me on Korean pop music. So now I know.
Yeah,
But then I
it's pretty
thought, you know
nuts.
what? There's some things I just don't need to know about, and it's fine if that's one of them.
Well, if you imagine a country that has like a whole shitload of New Kids on the Block, Boys to Men kind of bands,
Yep.
but the government has a ministry that's dedicated to making them, putting them out, selling the music, marketing it on, and making the money from it.
Yep.
It's
Well,
legitimately like
Is
any
now,
cultural
is that
export.
South Korea?
Yeah.
Yeah, the free one. I don't know.
Yeah,
which is-
yeah.
Can you imagine the North Korean K-pop bands? They're all like, super rigid. And like,
all just singing about how great
Kim Jong-un
Kim
or
Jong
whatever.
Un is.
yeah, glorious leaders.
Yeah,
And they're constantly rotated out every week, eh? Because it's like
Somebody
they're
said
just
something.
dying off, or they're sending
Yeah.
them back to the fucking mines, or
Yeah, I
Fucking-
took a left step instead of a right during the dance
poison.
practice.
They
and
just
that was
fucking
that.
poison people. That's the Russians that poison people.
Yeah,
yeah, they
everybody.
do.
They like to poison.
Fucking them getting everybody lately.
Oh man.
So who did you want to poison?
Oh. I want to poison everybody's mind
That's a good place to start.
with infectious fucking rock and roll songs
Infectious grooves.
about love,
Yep.
about love and loving and lovers.
in the loosest
Loving.
form of the term.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
it
so-
can't all be tight, Pat. Can't all be tight. I hear you can get it tightened back up though. Mm-hmm. I know a chick that actually went on a date with. I probably should.
born again virgin.
Sort of.
Yeah. Oh, you're just like
I
tighten it
went.
up.
I went on a date. I went on a date with a chick, and she actually told me that after she had a couple kids, she did go ahead and get that
Yeah.
package repackaged.
Repackaged. Yeah.
And I didn't go on another date with her, so I didn't get to find out what
You
that was
know-
like. But it's killing me every time I slide my cock into a bung baloney.
Yeah.
I wonder,
Could this have been what it was like?
could it have been like this?
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
not though, and I'm probably better off with the baloney. but-
I worry about. Well, not worry. I wonder about that a lot. Like all of the science of reconstructive parts.
Yeah.
Like clinks and innies, outies, all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I
like,
mean, I imagine it would be a lot easier to fix up a pussy than it would be to.
Yeah, you just drag everything in.
Not much you can really do about your cock. I mean, I think they can cut. I think they can cut a tendon or something. It's the tendon that makes your dick stand up when it's hard. I think they can cut that out and it'll hang down, but it'll be a little bit longer. Like it kind of lets the devil's inch out a little bit.
The body modification guy Fakir Mustafar had that tendon cut, and he can fuck like backwards. His cock sticks out backwards, so you can go ass to ass like dogs, kind of thing. He could do all
Was that
kinds
the
of.
goal?
I don't know what.
Or was
the
that
real
just like a
goal
happy
is.
byproduct?
I know a body mod guy who does the
That's-
frenulum under the tongue, so you could stick your tongue out a little further.
Oh,
all kinds of
that
like
one makes sense.
voluntary body mod stuff.
Yeah.
But that's like not even like transition stuff. That's just like performance.
That one a guy should just get done because I mean, imagine this. Here's a scenario. You're fucking a fat chick, okay?
Yeah.
And she's really big.
Imagine this scenario.
She's on top, and she gets going a little too hard. You give her the devil's inch, and she collapses on top of you, pinning you to the bed, and you're fucking stuck there, right? And all there is, there's a little glass of water on the nightstand, and it got spilled because when she was bouncing on you, it was rocking the fucking bed pretty good, and it spilled the water. So there's water pooling, dripping off the fucking edge of the nightstand, and you're pinned under this fat girl, and you just can't fucking get to that water. And you go, fuck, if I'd only had what's it called? A frenulum?
The frenulum kit.
If you had your frenulum cut,
I could
you-
survive
You
this.
could survive this.
Yes.
But no, you end up dying, pinned under this fat girl because you never were fucking had the presence of mind to get your frenulum snipped.
So about 20 years ago, I picked
Just
up
like the
this
gypsy
book
said.
at the Toronto Tattoo Convention, and like this is like I think 2000 2001 ModCon by Shannon Larrett. He used to run BME Body Modification E-zine on the internet, and you could go on and you could show all these people all the funky piercings you did, and man, some of these people turn their peckers and their parts into Rubik's cubes. You can't even tell anymore.
fuck.
Anymore what's
What
going
the-
on here. This is a guy who severed it right down the center.
Holy
This
fuck.
is somebody who pours saline, injects saline into his stuff.
So that guy, that's not two cocks. That's his cock split up the
Split
middle.
in the center, and so when he gets an erection, it's like a banana split. Like two sides of the banana. There's a couple on here. Let's see.
Jesus Christ.
This is a guy splitting up the center and suturing. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with sounding. When you get the
Oh,
little,
I know
Yeah,
what that
you're
is.
familiar, loosely familiar.
I've heard
with
of it.
And you
Yeah.
get like basically the inside of the male urethra dildoed. So
Right.
I guess when you split it, all of that sensation is on the inside, right? So yeah, there's an underworld. This book,
My urethra hurts bad enough as
right?
it is.
It's regularly hurting. But this book kind of freaked me out because there's a chapter.
Yeah.
There's a
Kind of
chapter
shocked
in
me
it.
a little
Just
bit.
glazing
I'm like,
over, I was
wow,
like,
man.
fuck, I've seen some shit, but that's some shit.
Yeah, there's a chapter in there on how to tell your doctor that you went to an S&M club and you met the wrong guy and he took you home and he castrated you. And that's how your doctor won't put you in the psych ward for nullifying yourself. Right? So people that volunteer. So in
And
the
this is in theory, right? This is, I mean,
You know,
if
that happened.
crazy
That
thing
happened
ever
in a
happens-
motel in
Jesus, fuck. Oh, you know what? I do
Fort
remember
Capel.
that. I do remember
Fort
that.
Capel.
Now.
There's
Those guys met up. They were
a
out of
motel.
province
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yep.
And they met in the motel at Fort Capel, and they did a castration in one of those rooms.
voluntary.
I don't even know which room it is.
Well, I think they were both in on it. Like, I think
Oh, yeah,
that's what
they were-
they
oh,
were
yeah,
there
yeah,
for.
it was
a
consensual.
consensual thing.
Yeah.
I forgot
See, and
about
that's just
that.
it. And there's a culture of
Thankfully.
stuff that's based around here. Here's a master slave setup, and the guy's been nullified straight up. He took his
whiz.
stuff off, right? And so this was
No way.
This was done
That's
from
commitment. Hey?
these guys weren't a gender dysphoria, like, well, they felt they were a woman. They just wanted their stuff off. So in the SM community,
We're
there's-
looking at pictures of guys that have their cocks cut off.
Yes.
And
Or
manipulated
this
in
guy
every way you
who
possibly
voluntarily
can.
stabs
Jesus
himself through
Christ.
the asshole with a steak knife. But so in the SM community, there's a big thing that people talk about where they're like, where do you draw the line on consent?
Fuck.
You know? Well, what
Well
if
before
somebody...
this, I'm miles before this.
You're miles
I
before
can't even
this.
see that from where my line is. I'm like, what's
Oh,
going on
no,
down there?
man.
I'll
Yeah.
never know.
So if you get a chance, here, I'll put this up.
Fuck, that's wild shit, man.
It's the secret world of extreme body modification. Yeah.
Oh, here's something though that you see that and you're like, holy fuck! I didn't even realize people do that kind of thing. Well, I kind of did, but
But you never saw the pictures.
never really looked at the pictures.
You'll notice they're all black and white, right?
Christ,
Thank Christ.
They don't need that vivid imagery.
The thing is, you know,
By all means, check it out.
in your daily routine, because I mean, people don't always. If just because a guy cuts his fucking pecker in half, he doesn't walk around with a T-shirt on saying, "Hey, ask me about my pecker that I cut in half."
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Although-
so you probably know people that have their
Man,
cock all
I know some of
weirded
the
up.
straightest guys I know with PAs through the tips of their dick that's thick as this
Yeah.
marker. And like
Holy
you talk to
fuck.
them, they're just like, button down dudes like, hey, nice to meet you. But like they've got a fucking ring through
I
the
actually
tip of their
I
dick.
saw
like-
a pierced penis in the flesh 2 weekends ago, and I hadn't seen one in many years.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing. Somebody's like, "Hey, can we look at this?" And we're like, "Oh, it's all look then, I guess." Eh? And of course the guy was ready because I'm like, everybody I've ever known that's had a piercing in their cock has at one time shown it to me.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? At one time, fucking you're hanging out, somebody's gonna let you have a peek.
Yeah.
Or make you have a peek. Make you have a
There goes that consent thing again.
yeah.
Well, it's kind of
I
weird,
made a
like-
bunch of people look at my dick at our gig on New Year's Eve. It's what they get for being in the fucking front row.
Yeah, that's
You
great.
know.
Well, it's kind of weird because like my partner and I are in an open relationship, and sometimes people visit, and sometimes they're people we've known a very, very long time, and they think that I've got sleeve tattoos, and then they're like, my clothes come off. They're like, oh. I was not aware. It starts here and it goes to there, right? So, and I'm not a naked guy. Hardly anybody sees me without my clothes on. Usually they're facing the other way, and they can't if they want to. They can't turn around, right? Like so.
My neighbors get to see me naked fairly regularly. But
Hey, if you had a nickel in it, you're the boardwalk at the right time.
You know what fucking direction not to look.
Yeah.
You know. Fucking
The door's
give me
opening.
shit.
Get the kids.
Yeah, don't give me. Don't give
Well, and
me
I can't
shit
even
about
talk
it.
too because I don't know how many of my friends it's come up in conversation. Like somebody else will be like, "Well, you've never seen Dusty's penis," and like 3 people in the group will all be like, "Yeah, of course we have." And we're like, "Well, wait a minute, I'm not showing it to everybody," but I'm just like, "Well,
Shit
I
happens when
party,
The
you're
longer,
you know what I
the
mean?
longer,
I'm
the
partying.
longer people know each other,
Yeah.
the
More chance you can see the
more
genitals, yeah.
chance is that you've seen their genitals.
Makes
I don't
sense.
know. I've
know?
known some people a long fucking time. I ain't seen theirs. I ain't seen mine. So,
Let's hear a list. Do we want names? No.
but then there's people I've known like 3 days. I'm like, all right. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Actually, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, we all went on that chop run one time, and everybody started skinny dipping in the creek there, and got some glorious pictures of that one. I think some high resolutions of like people showing some piercings and whatnot. You could put them on a fetish site, and people think there's some really interesting stuff going on.
That's a crazy shoot you guys did.
Yeah, right. Hey, that guy's got a red bandana in that pocket. It means he likes getting fisted, right? Yeah. See, in the gay SM's community, there's flagging if you're familiar, and like depending on the color of bandana that you wear and what side you wear it in your pocket. In the old like 1980s, 70s areas, you could walk in the gay district, and that was letting people know what you were into. Red being fisting, gray being bondage, black S&M, yellow being pissed on or pissing on people, and there's like orange, down for anything. Green was like, I'm selling or I'm willing to pay. You know, depending if you're wearing it on your right or left, right?
I can just picture being the guy that's like, fuck, gray. I should have put in gray. I did laundry and I forgot which one to grab. God damn it. Red again, eh?
Yeah.
That's what I get. Red again.
I put it in with my pinks. Or I put it in with the reds. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
See, and then, yeah, so flagging, I took a picture, and then I'm like, oh my God, there's like a bunch of naked dudes in the creek, and a guy with his jeans and no shirt on with like a red bandana sticking out of his back pocket.
Keep on driving, people. Just keep on going. Nothing to see here.
Either gear down or gear up. Either way, you gotta be here or you gotta be here to fuck.
See, and at that bike run, like all these old school traditional biker guys that aren't really used to weirdo punk rockers that really didn't give a shit as much, and they're kind of sitting there with their chaps and their leather watching everybody get naked.
Wow, that's what fucking old weirdo bikers used to be.
Yeah,
These guys are the bastard sons of the original old weirdo bikers,
yeah,
right?
there's a generation, right?
Yeah.
60s, 70s, and then it kind of got,
Goddamn boomers
80s,
fucking
90s.
everything up, hey?
Yeah,
Brady's
boomers.
generation comes back, shows you how to be cool on a motorcycle.
Laugh.
You grow up idolizing it and get
Have
it
a
wrong.
good time, yeah.
Yeah. Fuck.
So what happened to you as a child that made you like the degenerate that you turned out to be today?
I found a Playboy magazine in a fort in the bush, and I tried to fuck some moss. And it was all downhill from there, man.
Yeah.
I've been pretty obsessed with, pussy and, tits and ass also for the entirety of my life. You know, when you're a kid, they say, one day, Henry, when you're about 11 or 12 years old, you're going to notice girls. And I'm like, I fucking noticed them. I fucking noticed them already, okay? I liked the very first time I saw a girl, I wanted to take her pants off, And so, I mean, it's just like, they say that, what was it? Werewolves. They say that that's one sign of being a werewolf.
Hypersexuality.
Yeah. Is being interested in sex all the way from when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And so that's not even why I got the tattoos.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I got the tattoos because I wrote a song called Werewolf.
Yeah.
And I really, really liked it. And years later, we actually played that song, but we didn't. It wasn't a Savage Henry song when I wrote it. But,
Yeah.
Well, that really kind of spiraled out.
It spiraled. It
Yeah.
spiraled. Well, you know,
now,
I'm not
I'm
even-
sorry.
I'm
I was
not
just
even-
commenting on things that happened to him in his youth that steered him in this direction, like that you may be a werewolf.
Maybe.
I've also had a theory for a while that you probably have a brain worm. That many Brazilians get. They found that they tested a bunch of different high-level athletes. Just trust me, follow me on this. A lot of high-level athletes
Follow me on this.
and risk takers, and they found that this significant percentage of them, and especially in places like Brazil and other third-world countries,
gotta write
had
a
this
song about
brain worm that they got from living in too close to cats and all these feral cats.
I have
and they
cats.
you see where I'm going with
We
this?
had cats as a kid.
And if you had this brain worm, it didn't really it wasn't an outward thing. You still could become a professional fucking soccer player, but you'd take risks a lot more. You'd have more. You'd be more looser about sex. You'd just be a wilder kind of person, and you would always be attracted to the smell of cat piss. So I'm not saying that
Carried
that's
in a
something
bag.
that the whole thing falls through, but I know you click at least a few of those boxes off.
What do you
So
think?
I think you've just been a high functioning fucking
You just
skinhead for this parasite to fuck.
keep your mask next to the fucking litter box. That's how you do it.
Yeah, there you go.
know.
You got to feed the worm.
It's like
Yeah.
blue velvet.
Yeah, exactly.
Baby, what's
Yeah.
a white ski mask?
Fuck, I want to go watch that again. Oh man,
Don't fucking look at me.
I'm telling you, keeping your ski mask next to the litter box, it would probably smell better than it does if you go on tour and wear it every night and sweat profusely into it.
So what is the link between Aqua Velva and Savage Henry, though? Does that have something to do with
I
it?
think
You could saturate
I think
old
we
masks
actually did try to unstink a costume with it one time, and it just became a thing. We're the kind of we kind of make habits, but we do it on we do something. Ha, that's funny. Let's do that every fucking time we play.
The
So
rum and smoke.
I forgot about the fucking Aqua Velva. Shit, yeah, we just would dose ourselves with it.
I know, because I go to my tattoo shop, which it was doubled as your changing room, and it
That's
smelled
right,
like
yes.
Aqua Velva the next day.
For weeks. The Velva.
Like, hey, what's with all these
Fucking around
bottles
with the Velva.
here? You know?
Yeah, and then the
Only two of them were
Or
drunk.
the
though.
bag of smelly underwear and masks in the back. What happened with that?
Well, I'll tell you, you can smell a lot worse than Aqua Velva. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, true.
so we went on one of the tours. I think the first one we go to the East Coast and back, right? And by the time we got to Vancouver, our shit was smelling so bad. Uno Tramirez, the bass player, he actually got jock itch from his own costume. I was in
fever.
that's the tour. I was in Pat's Pub in Vancouver, and I took my mask into the fucking men's room and washed it in the sink with.
Are you concerned it's going to fall apart if you wash your outfits too much?
Yeah, Well, we try and hang them up to dry, but
There's been some incarnations. Like, you had the capes for a while.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we like to keep it.
And then you
fresh,
tried to do the
new outfit every 5-6 years. You know,
the tighty whities for a short period of time.
Yeah. Some of the guys are self-conscious about their bodies.
That's
Don't like to
sad.
do the tighty whitey
That's
thing.
sad. So then you went to the full
One
long
guy's
underwear?
got a really hairy back.
That happens. That happens.
And yeah, so
Get over here.
Recently, we started wearing, suits.
Oh,
Dress it up a little bit. I'm pushing 50, so I should dress like a grown up once in a while. So I put on a
Hey,
suit.
we're gonna talk about grown up stuff. You got to dress like a grown up.
yeah, you got to keep
So
it
you can
classy.
wear any kind of underwear you want over your mutilated pecker, but as long as you wear a suit,
Yeah, I hear that.
you look.
You got that Windsor
You
knotted
look
up
like
right.
you're on the up and up.
Okay, I gotta find the picture that I actually wanted to drag out when I was gonna show you guys this book, because I sat here with my brother. This is a guy who intentionally shortened it, which was very interesting. Like he took inches out and cut his back. Let's just see here. That's one of the few color ones.
Looks like me now.
Matt, but there's this one in here. I gotta fucking find it, because we looked at it and Buddy turned his dick basically into a Rubik's cube where we couldn't figure out how it worked. Like, we're pretty sure he split a hole right through the center and was able to like donut it and turn it inside out and do all kinds of fucked up shit.
You
to
know,
it.
that's something I bet isn't in there. If you talk about turning it inside, like, wait, was he like
So like if you
like-
have your dick and you just kind of like
flip it inside out like
You
a
have a-
sock?
yeah, you just flip
Yeah, okay.
it around.
Now that I have never heard of.
Mine just did that when you said that. Fucking
Give me a minute, I'll find this fucking
I
thing,
don't know.
man.
Here, I'm gonna lighten the mood a little bit while you're searching for that incredibly horrifying dick picture.
Here we go.
So my little brother. Okay, well,
go ahead,
fine.
go
No,
ahead.
yeah, no. My little brother had a kid about 10 years ago now, and I remember when we first meet him. Hey, he's like, hey, check it out. It's the newest deal, boy. There was 3 of us, and now there's 4. Look at him. I'm so proud, you know. And we're like, yeah, fuck, he's great. That's an awesome kid. And then he goes, hey, and check this out. Look at the fucking hammer on this kid, eh? He shows us his cock, and I said, well, that is impressive. I said, but don't worry, brother. He's a deal. He'll grow into it. True story. All have baby dicks.
All right. Look at this. This is all one person. This is all one person doing different things with their unit. And
Jesus Christ!
Both
right?
pages?
both pages are all the same individual. So we're pretty sure, me and my bro talked about it, we're pretty sure he just split it down the center so he could get, like, you know, one of those earplugs and just plug it in there. But then when it comes out, he's able to, like, put his balls through the hole.
They bifurcated his nutsack there too. It looks
I
like it looks like each ball has its own scrotum.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, huh? That's what the human body. And so I'm kind of wondering, like, the amount of time and energy and attention that these guys spend on their units.
You could get underwear that's like a little
giving me
bra
fucking
that,
anxiety.
It'd be like a
that
quadruple sack.
lifts and separates.
Like, it's
your,
a nightmare of mine that I wake up and my cock looks like that.
Really?
man.
You know what I mean?
I don't know, man.
Then it wakes up and it doesn't look like it came from a human being anymore. That would be a nightmare for me.
Yeah, I don't
That
know.
is nightmare.
Oh,
basic.
I see what's going on here. Well,
Right?
that's-
Isn't it fucked? Anyways, I wish we
That's-
could show you this
that's his-
over the errors.
That's
but-
his, like, gut. This is belly there. They're looking through a hole. That's not the inside of his cock. That's
Right? Exactly. It's like a fucking Rubik's Cube trying to figure out what Buddy did to it. Like this one, like, how is that? It just looks like a whole bunch of meat. I don't know.
we're back to that chicken bologna thing again.
Right?
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Chicken bologna if I've ever seen it.
What do you say to the fucking
So this is
No
like
moss.
an
No
this is an
moss.
invitation only extreme body modification conference that they would put on. So people would get together and they would show each other what kind of amazing and interesting things they did to their private parts.
and these guys are mostly probably doing that themselves, right? You
Yep.
just, you know,
Underground.
Mostly done to yourself yet.
Mostly done to themselves. Well, we
come
were all
home
friends
after your-
with a guy in town, Cash, who did a lot of
guess,
like body
yeah.
mods. He
Yeah.
split his own tongue and he did
Yeah.
stuff like that. This is just the next level where these guys just go below the belt with that same idea, right?
He somehow he's a blue belt at this, hey? And these guys are like black belt,
black belts,
red
yeah.
stripe.
Well, and this underground body modification, like, you know, they do the ear pointing, the eyeball tattooing, they do the tongue splitting, they do all that stuff, and it's like an underground culture of almost black market plastic surgeons, and it is black market because they have to order black market anesthesia, black market sutures, all of that.
Yeah, anything
stuff,
in the
right?
legal world will all be accounted for because it's all for medical use.
what about in other countries? Like, can you, if you go somewhere like
The Congo,
really
I'm sure
weird,
it's pretty
you know,
chill.
where
They
they
could
were,
do it.
and you know, they
Pretty
could-
chill in the
they-
Congo.
you'd
Yeah.
probably
Well, no, the
legally-
rules around getting your genitals manipulated and mutilated.
Yeah,
are
well,
chill.
some-
Nothing else
I think
is chill.
it's a high
They're
likelihood.
still eating piggies over there.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Rwanda.
you can probably go, if you went to another country, you could probably get that done by somebody with a little more like experience in doing it.
Oh,
or-
especially,
or-
yeah, you could go to a professional with enough money and, like, you know, hey, here you go, I want this done. But in
Oh,
North
yeah, I
America,
suppose if you're really wealthy, too,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
would just do that. You just find a
but in North
super
America,
secret-
they won't do it because there's like a code of ethics around plastic surgery, which I find fucked up. Like, you can get Botox in your lips, you can get all this crazy stuff done to you,
but you can't
like,
get donut cock.
yeah, you can't
Yeah.
get a donut cock. Why not?
Well, it's
right?
kind of like, it's almost like augmentation, enhancement is okay. Manipulation isn't okay. You know, like I was actually watching a program about people with body dysmorphia with like limbs that they're like, this doesn't belong to me.
Yep.
I've never been my leg. I never wanted it. It feels alien to me. And then them having to like hunt to find somebody who
Nullification
can
is
do
what
it.
they call that,
Going,
like chopping off,
Sure,
like
yeah.
voluntary amputees.
There you go. Yes, but then there was enough of them that did regret it afterwards. That were like, oh no, it turns out it was just that point in my life. It wasn't really that thing, and then they can't undo it. But there was enough of them that it's like, I don't know how. Yeah, it's an
You're
odd
walking
thing. But
into
I never,
some scary
well,
spots
and I
'cause
never.
it could be breasts.
Well, that's what
It
I'm
could
saying,
be a
right?
penis,
Because this is
right?
kind of how it made more sense for me for how trans people would feel.
Mm-hmm.
Then is like you were like always no, it's not my leg, it's not my cock, it's not my tits, it's not whatever.
my entire
right?
gender.
It's these parts that just are not for me and they don't fit right. And then when I'd seen that, I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense then. You know,
Well-
I can understand that. You know.
And that's a big debate. Like, so if somebody's going to say there's a person in here that cut his own hand off, you know,
Sure.
and
Wild.
they wanted to have no hand anymore.
Yep.
And how is that different than somebody who really wants to remove their breasts or remove their penis? Now,
Well, and that's where I got, because I wasn't even aware of that world of people, like you said, nullification, purposely removing their parts, and not even for aesthetics, just to be like, no, it's just not mine. It doesn't belong to me. I've never had this arm. I don't know why it's on me.
well, and the best science says that there's people that are born with like a woman's head in a male body, or a woman's brain in a male's body, and a male brain in a women's body, and say these parts don't match up to me,
sure,
right?
sure,
and
sure,
that's
sure.
like a legitimate scientific thing. But then there's also, I think, and you know, I know it's politically incorrect to say don't cancel me like fucking J.K. Rowling. But there's also a lot of, I think, young people that are looking for identity that are saying, I want to be transitioning. You know, even my daughter told me one day, she's like, you know, if I ever decide to transition, and I'm like, decide to? You shouldn't. It shouldn't be a decision. You should have lived your whole life saying, holy fuck, this isn't who I am. You know, like
It's almost like it's just getting to be a hip thing.
almost
and-
to fit
and-
in
and-
with a
and-
certain group.
And yeah, I want to be in this group of people, and they're into this, and if I want to fit into this, then
And I would say that's transitioning for the wrong reason.
Yeah,
like, I'm
so-
100% like,
absolutely,
if you
absolutely.
live and you're like, holy shit, I need to be a woman. Like, if I felt that I needed to be a woman, yeah, great, I should be a woman, you know? Or if you really feel you're non-binary, be non-binary. But if you're doing it to fit into a social narrative or to fit into a social group, I think you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I'm really up in the air about how much I need to placate those
Well, and some
people.
of that is kind of what like the left does now to create these scenarios where, yeah, but what if this did happen? What would you say? How would you react? You know, I need to know you're not bigoted now, not wait until I'm having the surgery. You know what I mean? And I think that's. I really want to talk about that. I really want to talk about the Rogan thing. And
Okay.
That's kind of
Well,
where
let's
that
get
kind
to
of
it in a
comes
bit.
into. Yeah, you son of a bitch. The third time, I'm like, can we talk about it now? Can we talk about it now?
Well, maybe I'll play a Savage Henry video and then we'll come back.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
All right.
That's a good idea.
All right.
All right, and then we'll pause this. because I know how to do that.
And we're back. I stole your line.
Bikini back.
You know what's funny? Since we've been started to do this podcast, I noticed that I say things that Dusty says.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like what is it, lingo and slang and shit.
Well,
like
that's the kind of thing that happens if you just hang around with one group of people long enough.
I'm
you'll
just
start to-
elfing you beta cuck.
For those that are just joining us, this is Rich. Savage Henry had to run. Rich came by, and he can another old punk rocker from Saskatoon.
Yeah.
It's been around
Something.
a long time.
Some sort of old something.
Some sort of.
Yeah.
You played in a few bands.
Yeah, I actually am in Savage Henry as well. I actually am Savage Henry.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay. I would clarify. I would clarify.
It's all
I would
been
clarify.
revealed.
I am not Savage Henry. Savage Henry actually is a character.
Well, yeah, that's
Wait,
it.
what?
Okay, so
Right.
this is kind of like
Yeah.
I have a hard time engaging with the character. I can laugh about stuff, but I don't get raunchy in public.
Yeah.
And this is the you I can engage
This
with.
is
We
this
can
is
have a-
actually me. Yeah, the Savage Henry persona is a character just like you would play on TV, like Mr. Dressup. Wasn't really probably exactly like he was on TV.
That's heartbreaking. And
You
that's
know,
a
Mr. Rogers,
poor
however, was.
analogy.
Yeah, he's the one.
I think you could have picked
You know
it
what?
better.
Somewhere
Nobody kept it more real
You know,
than Mr. Rogers.
you know what? The real Mr. Dressup, probably him and I probably pretty close, personality wise. He could have been into some. Mr. Dressup could have had a split cock. You don't know. Mm-hmm. You know.
I almost
Could have been
assume
a
at this
wildcat
point.
in the sack. You never
Spend that
know.
much time
Maybe.
with puppets. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Anything's possible.
Yeah.
Guess who's coming? Guess who's coming? Guess who's coming?
Casey Finnegan.
Casey.
Turn your goddamn eyes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, I cannot get busy with my dogs in the room. Period. It really bugs me. They sit and stare and they sniff, and I'm like, these guys have to go. They have to be in a different room, and it's almost like those people that turn around the family pictures, but it's not. But like the dogs cannot watch. I just don't want to give them any bad ideas on what's happening between mom and dad. So
Cats don't care though.
No,
One
cats.
dog's got the other dog in a little gimp mask. The next time you come home, they're scuttling off to try and hide their stuff. Hey, our shame, our tiny dog shame. This isn't the house for shame.
we were just role playing. Yeah.
Arf, arf, I mean.
So speaking of role playing, you've caught a lot of grief for the character that Savage Henry.
Yeah,
plays.
well, he says a lot of things that are not altogether politically correct, and I mean,
I love the dissociation. He says this.
yeah. Well, back in the back in the '90s, we still got a backlash back in the '90s because back in the '90s you had that PC punk was very much a thing, especially here in Saskatoon. I remember a lot of people not liking us back then, and now these people are all grown up. And we're still doing it.
And they're not punk anymore. And they all have families and official jobs.
Yeah, when we started that band, I mean, we didn't think we'd be doing it for 6 months. You know, because ridiculous. And I mean, the whole character kind of evolved out of wearing the mask because as soon as you put on a ski mask and get up in front of a microphone, instant asshole. It's like you're obligated. Like our first gig was again at Amigos. We didn't go in there thinking, oh, we're just gonna fucking try and offend everybody and be as rude as we can and be as stupid as we can. It just fucking happened.
Well,
As
it's
soon
kind
as-
of like there's a separation, almost like internet,
Yeah.
behind a screen. That mask becomes
very,
your screen.
Yeah,
right?
very
Like,
much. A lot of people. I found that even some people are a lot different to text with or talk with online, and when you get to talk to them in real and the communication, the line of communication is much different. You know.
Well, fuck, dude. We played with the Misfits one time, and I remember meeting Jerry Only before he got all of his shit on, and I was like, who's this old dude from New Jersey? He's like, he's in sweatpants, he's got glasses on, his hair's down. Hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you guys. Hey, you guys been having fun out here? You know, however the fuck. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then he comes out and he's this god on fucking stage.
Yeah,
hey? And
sure.
I'm like, well, there is a difference between the two, hey?
Well,
Except his name doesn't change on and off stage.
Yeah, you know, we're with the Henry thing. I mean, and I mean, there's been times where, you know, my personality and the Henry personality, sometimes the lines blur a little bit, you know, depending on
Well, I
what
think anything you
stage I'm
drag
at
out
in
of
my
yourself.
life or whatever. But
Anything you drag out of yourself is in you somewhere.
well, absolutely. And somebody
But-
somebody did point that out to me one day. I was talking about this, and yeah, but that still is you saying that stuff, and nobody is putting that in your head. You know, it is coming from me. So sure, Savage Henry's a part of me, but it's
You're accessing a little area.
yeah.
And
But I
it's
mean,
exclusively in
yeah. But I mean, I don't necessarily think the way Savage Henry thinks.
It's not a holistic example of all of what you are.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think lots of it is just to get a rise. To fucking
Yeah.
get the you know what I mean? It's not, you're not trying to speak the truth. You're
No,
not trying to
it's like
educate anybody.
It's entertainment.
That's
it's
it.
Like
You're trying
it's
to
like
get some fucking
It's
emotion
like a
out of
horror
somebody.
movie, right?
Yeah, there we go.
And in my mind, I mean, like you know, like say take a psycho from a horror movie. I don't know, Michael Myers, somebody like that. Okay, the guy playing Michael Myers, the guy playing Leatherface, is not really Leatherface.
Or
You know what I mean?
the guy singing for Cannibal Corpse better not be the guy he's singing about. or what
Exactly.
he's singing about, because he's a
Or
criminal.
you go to a gore show,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or anything like that. It's entertainment. I mean, it you know, and when you make a movie, when you have entertainment, you have a bad guy or you have a stupid guy.
Sure.
You have, you know, the raging pervert who drives a van.
Sometimes
know.
he's a bad, stupid, raging pervert.
You know, sometimes he's bad, sometimes he's good. Depends on the day. But at the end of it, it's just a character. The Savage Henry is sort of a knuckle dragging, you know, macho.
Throwback.
You know, and I mean, if you pay attention, it's supposed to be a little bit self-depreciating. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like, you know, like what kind of a guy thinks this way? What kind of a guy
Like,
actually
really?
You can only
really
picture someone
says
who
that
only wears
shit.
stained T-shirts
And you know, and
Fucking-
I actually once dated a lady who was a women and gender study major at the U of S, and so she was dating me while I was in Savage Henry.
And that's
We
gonna
had
be
many a
some sort
conversation.
of like cognitive dissonance going
We
on.
had quite a few conversations about it. And one thing that's been brought up to me as well, not everybody knows you're kidding. And a lot of people might show up at your show and sing along with these songs, really
Yep.
meaning it. And I'm sure that is the case in a lot of but I'm not going to stop singing the songs just because somebody is so dumb that they're just going to take it for real.
Right? Somebody doesn't
You
get
know,
the joke doesn't mean
like
you don't tell
it's
the fucking joke.
the same thing goes. I mean, you do have remember that idiot who went and shut up the movie theater dressed like the Joker
Yeah.
after he saw
No, I
fucking
didn't hear
Batman
that, but
movie.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, it was quite a few. I don't remember which Batman movie. There's like
Oh,
one
it's an
every.
older one, yeah.
Yeah, it was probably.
It's not the new one where they kind of
No, it's
glamorize
about
them.
6 or 7 years ago.
Oh,
Some
okay.
guy walked into the theater. He had a couple of automatic weapons and just shot up people in the theater while I think fucking Batman movie was playing actually. And he had his hair dyed green, and he thought he was the Joker or something like that. Well, so you're gonna stop making fucking Batman movies because this guy did that? Well, no. You know?
Well, it's interesting because like our podcasts are my lifestyle, obviously, with the book we were talking about. I'm involved with a lot of underground like sexual communities and like SM and stuff like that. And I really, because I do photography, I do shibari specifically, which is Japanese rope. And I had to do the math on what content I was going to be putting on these fetish sites because I had to balance whether or not I was going to be encouraging like misogyny, violence against women,
Yeah.
blah blah blah, or if I was going to just start focusing on more like the artistic, acrobatic kind of like challenging stuff and art as opposed to the raunchy SM stuff, which there's a market for that, but I don't know, because there you get the feedback in the community, especially the kink community, where all these new people show up and they're like, "Bitch, I'm gonna do this to you, and you're gonna take it." And I'm like, I don't want to encourage that.
Yeah, they don't know that that's actually not the narrative. That's
Yeah.
not actually what you're supposed to be doing. You can play that you're doing it.
It's a role, and like
Yeah.
everybody's consenting, and everybody's
Yeah.
having a good time, and they hug and they kiss
Yeah.
after, and it was
Yeah.
like, was that good for you? Yeah, was that? Yeah, that was good for me. They don't see that side. They just see somebody in distress, and I don't know if I wanted to encourage that so much anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because part of me, like this is part of it. Like I had to do the math. Like that's part of me, but that's not all of me. I'm a very multifaceted individual, right? So just like
Well,
you-
that's the unfortunate thing with art like that, people see that and go, "Oh, this is all there."
Yeah,
they don't
that's
know all
it.
the other aspects of it. Right?
Well, I mean, it's like looking at a painting of a naked woman and go, "Oh, it's a fucking naked woman."
Yeah. Or this artist is a pervert for doing it.
for drawing this naked woman.
Yeah.
You know,
That's all they've done.
Well, I'm trying to, be aware of the brushstrokes. You know,
Or the body of work. Like, yeah, sure. Like, okay, we talked about Hakeem Bey, right? The author Hakeem Bey, and he's one of my favorite poets. Like, literally, I can read his books and I get misty, right? And then somebody's like, well, that fucking pervert wrote 2 poems that got published by NAMBLA. It was like about the beauty of a bathing boy. And I'm like, so does that detract from the other body of work that's beautiful, that he did these 2 pieces over here that were kind of reprehensible?
well, in
right?
today's culture, today's like the whole cancel culture thing and everything. I think that's enough. Yeah, to get
See,
you
for them, and that's I guess that's where we draw the line, and
Yeah.
we choose to disagree, because I'm willing to say, hey, you know what, that one album that person did, I'm not really into, but everything else is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's cool. You know,
Screwdriver's first album was great.
hey, I like a lot of the Screwdriver's later albums too, but I'll be the first to admit it. Well, no, I'm not the first. Everybody else will put it on me.
I grew up listening to, like, I never even thought about politics at all. Like, I mean, left wing, right wing, that's a new thing in my mind, literally in the last decade.
Okay.
I was into my 30s, could not give a shit. If you asked me, are you a left thinking guy or a right thinking guy? I never fucking knew. I usually voted conservative when I was younger, and now I don't.
I think when
But-
we're young, we have common sense. We just want
Yeah.
people to be happy and less violence, and let's not fuck each other over
that's
the
a
side.
good thing. That's a good thing to go for,
Yeah.
even today.
As
you know?
opposed to like the dogma, are you over here or are you over here? No,
It's
I
all
just-
garbage today. It's so and the media and the not say the not media. My words. Use your words.
social media.
Social media and the internet in general is actually working very hard to drive this wedge in between people. I mean, you get, people start thinking, okay, well, I don't think the same as Pat. Mm-hmm. Pat doesn't eat meat. He thinks it's wrong. I like eating meat.
We should
so
be
me
enemies.
And, so me and Pat, you're not with me, you're against me. And there's and it could be that's all it is.
Yeah.
And people and people, like, you get this whole political thing, and I mean, you get real extreme on both sides, of the thing. But you get all the conspiracy guys, all the QAnon.
Oh yeah.
Craziness and all of this really wild stuff, but they almost just fall into line. Once people start thinking that way, okay, you like that? Okay, chances are maybe you think the Earth is flat, maybe you don't. Maybe you're anti-vax, probably, definitely going to be anti-mask. You're definitely going to see communists everywhere.
Yeah,
You're
and that
gonna,
carries over your immigration and your ideas on
that's
climate
right,
change
and
all of-
oh, this racism you have, but you can't talk about it because you're oppressed. And all of that. But honestly, once people start going down a certain path, they start thinking a certain way, and then they fall into line. If you tell me, oh, you think such and such a thing might be a conspiracy, 9/11 was faked, okay, or not faked,
inside job.
inside job, okay, right? And they say, oh, okay, well, if you believe that, then you probably believe
You might like this too.
yeah,
you might like this too.
yeah, and YouTube will literally drag you down that rabbit hole.
I just watched that documentary. I think
Yeah.
we talked
We
about it
talked about
last
the
week.
last one, yeah.
Social Dilemma. That
I haven't watched it, but I want to. I
the
think
more
it's-
you
yeah.
engage with it,
Yeah.
the more it feeds you what you mostly engage with. So it actually creates a confirmation bias for you. Oh, hi, Abby. Our dog, or my dog's up in here again.
Hello.
So, thank you.
Suck you.
Can you call them and get them out of here? Thank you. So yeah, these people end up in their little tiny towers and their little insulated communities.
Echo
and-
chambers.
Yeah, left
Yeah.
wing and right wing.
Yeah.
Well, you just don't want to go, huh?
buddy. You want to come up? Come here.
Because there's crazy ideas on both sides of that. If you go far enough,
Yeah, you end up at the same whack job.
I like, honestly, like when we started this band, I mean, like, say censorship was going to be an issue in the '80s. In the '80s there was what was that, PMRC? Yeah, they were trying, right? Tipper
Music
Gore,
Resource Council?
Tipper Gore,
Yeah.
right?
Tipper
And I
Gore.
always thought it would be like the people that were going to censor you were going to be like
The religious nutbags?
religious people and all that. Well, now they're the ones crying against censorship because you can't say that, it's racist, or whatever. And they're like, hey, they're trying to silence us, and oh, they're taking my
They're taking away my right to be a Christian. Is one of the narratives that I keep hearing. I can't teach my kid to pray in school anymore. You're censoring me. You're taking away Merry Christmas.
And then the other side, a lot of it is like, well, because what you keep teaching them is kind of a hate crime. You keep teaching them that gays shouldn't exist and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
But I think this is all that pendulum swing that we talk about frequently, where it's like you said, the PMRC in the 80s, right wing, staunch, conservative. Now we've got
they were actually Democrats, but they.
Or were they? I thought they were.
Because it was Al Gore's wife.
That's right.
And he's
but
a Democrat.
very conservative.
But American politician, I think American politics is quite a little. Even their Democrats are quite a bit to the right of where
compared to us.
What our conservative government would be like. You take Stephen Harper's government versus a Democrat American government. Trying to think like. Bill Clinton.
Our far right wing versus their far left.
Yeah. Well, that's not even far left. Like they're Republicans. Like say Bill Clinton's age. I guess that's probably Obama would be the last one, right? And like Obama's stuff, he's probably still to the right of where Harper was.
You think?
Or
is that just a consequence of the culture that they live in, where they can't be any farther left without being considered a communist, or trying to undermine the roots of American civilization?
That's probably it, and that's probably why. Whereas you get a liberal government here, and it's quite it's quite a big difference. I mean, you'd never get this the Trudeau shit out of Obama's administration.
Well, he's trying to tiptoe around what is it? Publicly funded like medical insurance, and they're like, "Whoa, you fucking communist!" Right? He's like, "Please, can we just not let people starve and die? If they, can't afford medical care."
You're gonna take money out of my pocket for that?
It's interesting to backtrack a little bit. We were talking about PMRC, right? Back then. That whole like movement of that ultra right wing Christian conservatives, we didn't know they were right wing. We just thought they were Christian maniacs. They called themselves the moral majority. The moral majority was the biggest fucking. We're gonna tell everybody how they need to live. Well, now in 2020, there's a new moral majority,
and it's not them, and they don't
it's
like
a hard
it.
left.
It's a polar
it's a
swing
hard left
opposite of
versus
that,
a hard right, and I think that's really interesting. We talked about
and they're again doing all the same things.
Well,
they're
right.
trying to. Right?
They're trying to cancel you. We talked about that. I sent you the link. I'm not sure if you're familiar about the shadow banning of Spotify and Joe Rogan's podcast.
I had not heard that.
Okay, it's
I do watch the Rogan podcast once in a while.
We both read the article. You're a Rogan podcast listener. You do once in a while. I don't so much, but I did read the article. So Rogan signed on to an exclusive deal with Spotify. And part of the deal with Spotify is that they weren't going to censor him. He was going to be able to do whatever the hell he wanted, and all of his stuff was going to be available on Spotify. He's got like 1,500 episodes.
Yeah.
Spotify employees started insisting that he wasn't allowed to have certain episodes from certain people that he had been interviewing, because they were offended by the content or the politics of the people he was interviewing. So those episodes, were taken off of Spotify.
Okay, yeah.
So why is he exclusive with somebody who says they're not going to censor him if all of a sudden, because of the pressure from their employees, censorship happens?
$100 million.
Yeah,
That's why. That's what they paid him. They paid him $100 million to be exclusive on Spotify, and he said they're not gonna tell me who I can have on or who I can talk to or how I can question them. But I don't remember him ever saying that they weren't gonna go back through his back catalog and take out stuff that they thought was questionable. I honestly think Rogan.
So how can you get that now?
Probably YouTube, because I think a lot of them are still on YouTube.
Okay, and for now.
Or you might not be able to.
Yeah,
But this
I
is
don't
okay.
know.
So this is where I'm going with this, right? Because when we talked about this earlier, I was like, I don't know that this is cancel culture because he didn't get canceled. He got
censored.
He got censored, right?
Okay.
And I think he's possibly being willingly censored because there's no way you do a deal for $100 million.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't know in the fine print that they were going to go through and cherry pick episodes that they weren't going to put up. You know, if that's what you thought the whole time, there's no way a deal like that goes through on that level where somebody somewhere doesn't say, oh, yeah, by the way, do you know that they're going to be able to do this? You know, and especially because that's a brand they're buying with him that is what it is. It's raw. It's unfiltered a lot of times. It's the guy that's going to smoke a joint with fucking Elon Musk, and everybody's going to tune in and they want to follow him. But these people who are answering to their shareholders or someone else who works within the company that feels that this isn't the right message we should put out is going to fine tune that, because now they're trying to keep their profits in check.
They're trying to push, well, a narrative. And like, this is my angle. It's like, if something interrupts our worldview, it needs to be leveled. It needs to be taken
And
out.
that's why
and that
Rogan
reminds
was
me of
good.
McCarthyism. It reminds me, you think it's good?
No. That's why Rogan was good, was because he had Milo Yiannopoulos or whatever his name is on there, and Alex Jones.
The
Alex
Abigail
Jones ones are some of the
Schreier.
best ones.
Exactly. A lot of these people that do have like controversial views, or people have very strong opinions about them, and he would have them on there. And a lot of times he didn't, to me, like, I can understand their objection with him, even like saying that maybe he's transphobic, and I've always thought he was. As long as I've listened to him, I've always thought Joe Rogan was transphobic because of the way he talks about it. I don't think he's
It
overt.
depends on your
I don't-
definition of transphobia,
okay.
which is a whole other conversation. I'd
I
love
don't-
to get into.
And I think
even if
there's
it's
levels
gonna,
and nuance to all of this, right?
Should I get the hat
But I
that
don't
just says,
think
I am a transphobe? Because I might actually have questions about the
well,
culture.
that's it. And I think but here's my logic for this with Rogan is like, I don't think he's someone that's gonna like start a movement to keep trans people from doing what they want. He's a very
I saw
do
a
what you want,
stand-up
libertarian
about,
kind of fucking thing.
Caitlyn Jenner.
Sure, but
That's a perfect example,
But that's
like-
the thing. Like, it's like he continually gravitates back towards it during conversations. A lot of times, it's not what the conversation is about, but then just while having a conversation with someone for 2 or 3 hours, and it seems a lot of times it's the guys that he can shoot bows with or eat elk with. They'll start having these they'll start having these conversations, and they're not really conversations. It's more them just showing, I'm ignorant to this thing. I don't
Okay.
understand this. I don't get this. I don't get why they have to do that. I don't get why they have to do this, all this fucking shit, instead of having a person on.
Is it coming from a vantage point because they actually want to know, or is it coming from a
Here's the
vantage
thing, though,
point
dude.
of did you just want to criticize?
That's it. That's how it feels when you're dealing with someone who this is their career. This is what he's done, is doing podcasts and talking to people and analyzing the human condition to find the humor in it. But then he doesn't take the time to understand this aspect of the human condition that he clearly doesn't understand and wants to know more about, but he does it in a very kind of abrasive way, where it's always a joke or a gag or whatever, when it's something
somebody's expense.
Well, and he's never shown that he's on the other side of it. No, I understand and I connect and I relate.
Well,
And
has
now
he
I
ever
can
had
go-
a trans individual on
That's
his
what I'm
show?
saying. Like, I don't know that he ever has. I don't know that the other side of this has ever been able to be in the room
Represented.
with him
Yeah.
to see where the fuck he stands. Because
Well,
how do you know,
what?
right?
I would almost guarantee you, like, most of Joe Rogan's viewership audience
Yeah.
would get triggered as fuck if all of a sudden they had to deal with 2 hours of a trans individual talking about trans issues. But there's like, are you familiar with Buck Angel at all?
Buck Angel. Oh, that's that. He's a
He's a
transition
trans
woman
porn
to man, right?
Yeah, trans porn actor. Like, okay, so I'm gonna do my best to narrate this best I can, but like pronouns might get complicated. So Buck Angel, Trampa, like he's like the old school trans,
Very
first, like,
masculine.
yeah, super butch,
Yeah, I know
tattooed,
who
into
that is.
SM dom
Yeah.
kind of style,
Yeah.
and Buck actually does porn with a transsexual actress. So it's get this one. It's a female to male trans, female trans having heterosexual sex with the girl dick and the male pussy. So technically, you're watching Bizarro World straight porn,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
so
and
get Buck Angel on
sorry,
Joe Rogan.
this is almost like the discussion earlier of like the mall punk versus legitimate punk. If you don't know the backstory, is that not just heterosex?
Yes.
Are you not just watching straight sex at this point until you know their medical history, and then when you know their medical
actually
history,
no, because the dude has the vagina.
Oh,
And
yeah, no,
the
you're right.
girl
You're
has
right.
the
My
penis.
bad. My bad.
So
My
there's
bad. Fair enough.
all
I
kinds
guess,
of
but if we-
wonky-
So
if
it
we
still
did-
works.
fair enough.
And the
Yeah,
funny thing is, all the this is what,
Yeah, no,
because I
fair
worked in
enough.
porn stores for a long time, and I would love to see like the DVD or the VHS cover, because like he's like macho tattoo guy,
Mm-hmm.
and she's super femme girl, and then like some guy's like, this could be a good video, get it home, and like, what the fuck,
ultimate switcheroo.
I just
Yeah.
learned something about myself I didn't want to know.
I'm into it, you know. So that's wicked.
Now
to
I got another
understand it.
pastime.
So, and it's very interesting because, like, if you are actually making the effort to know,
Yeah.
and to investigate and to meet these people and to hear the narratives, and you still have questions that you want cleared up, I don't consider that transphobia. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the
And-
heavily
well, and
activist
I
trans
think-
community,
sorry.
I just got to finish,
Okay.
the heavily activist trans community wants to frame anything that challenges a narrative as being transphobic immediately. They'll splash it, they'll try and cancel you, you know? And people are saying ignorant shit, you know? But then there's other people that are straight up have questions. or there are legitimate criticisms that need to be kind of mentioned, I'd say.
Well, I
don't
think
know.
that's why he needs to have that discussion then, if that's going to be part of his thing, right? And I think also, like you were saying, if you take the steps and you actually make an honest effort to try and understand, and then you're still uncomfortable with it, I don't even think that makes you transphobic. You're uncomfortable with a thing you understand now. If you don't take the steps to understand it, then you're phobic. Then I don't want to know anything about it because I don't want to learn about it. If you still learn all there is you needed to know about it, then you're still uncomfortable with it. Okay, well, that's just what your fucking existence is, I guess. Then there's nothing wrong with that. But with Rogan, I honestly do feel like I've never seen him take any steps for someone who clearly is so. It never comes up in my conversation. I'll put it this way. When I'm talking to friends, generally speaking, trans issues never come up.
Okay.
Unless for some reason that it's in the news or something. Like there was a Caitlyn Jenner thing and then someone would bring it up. But it just doesn't come up through
It
regular
does come up in my
conversation.
community.
No, fair enough though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right? Is because I even much of that world I have. It's just not part of my life, right? So it never comes up in my conversation. Whereas Joe Rogan is the kind of guy who claims it's not part of his world,
But it
he's
keeps coming
constantly
up in his-
fucking
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about it. That's where I'm
That's
going
valid.
with this, right? Like, and it's not that I have an issue with it. It's because I don't have an issue with it that I never talk about it. You know what I mean? If it was part of my world or I had trans friends or anything like that, yeah, it probably would be. It's just not my social circle and it's not what I know. And I don't have an issue with that. It's just my fucking existence. Whereas Rogan, that's not really the fucking case. It seems a lot of times.
Well, $100 million.
That's it buys a lot of fucking compliance.
You'd probably sign on to a record label if they said, but we're not releasing this song and this song.
Oh,
and
geez,
this
I'll
song.
sing anything you want for $100 million.
But again, and we're coming from a
I'll
different
come.
spot,
I'll
though, right?
crank out some K-pop.
We're still
That's-
working for a living though. Even that
Yeah.
guy, he could turn down the 100 million and still be the most popular podcaster in the world,
Mm-hmm.
making more than anybody else doing it. He just went from I'm number one to I'm so far beyond everybody else, no one else can ever catch me. You know?
See, I guess there's different levels on it. Like, okay,
Yep.
so maybe he's got some elements of transphobia in his narrative, but for a long time, Rogan was very conspiracy oriented, and he was very like, "Hey, what's this all about? What's this all
Yep.
about? Let's talk about aliens. Let's talk about ancient civilizations. Let's talk about cover-ups." And then all of a sudden, some weird stuff happened, and that stuff doesn't get talked about anymore. And then I guess I'd heard that there were some threats against his family or some weird stuff coming out with that, where that he didn't do the conspiracy stuff anymore. But does that mean that conspiracy stuff is not talked about anymore? See, there's this increasing movement to just like, we don't approve of that narrative, we're shutting it down. And it doesn't matter what the narrative is. Like,
Oh no, sorry. Where I was going to get to with all this, even with me saying I think he is transphobic in some manner, that's how he's been the whole time. I've always thought that about him when I listened to any of his podcasts. So it wasn't news when they got him.
well, he appeals to the hyper masculine stereotype.
This only became news when people started finding out and information started leaking from their meetings that this stuff was, because people still weren't like actively looking for these episodes or at all. All of a sudden they were hearing they weren't there and then they were looking for them, right? So I think it's something he knew about the whole time, because they knew who he was. They knew what his shit was. It wasn't like they're just listening to it now as it's all coming out and going, wait, he said what?
But it's not just
He dead
transphobics.
named her who? Exactly. It's Alex Jones. It's Milo Yiannopoulos. It's a lot of these other controversial people that say controversial things that they're also not putting up on there. That's why I'm saying I don't think he's being even censored at this point. I'm thinking he's complicit in it. And again, he comes from a place right now where he's wealthy. He is absolutely wealthy enough. He could have just not taken this deal and been fine. His life would still be fantastic if he wanted to still be honest and truthful with himself and all that kind of bullshit. He might even say, "Here, take your 100 million back and I'm going to get my fucking stuff back, and I'm going to keep doing what I was doing then."
Well, I guess
'Cause this
it
is gonna
depends on
taint him.
your integrity as
That's
an
it.
artist.
Well,
as
and
a,
this is something that I'm sure he never you would always want to have integrity in your work, but it wasn't like Joe Rogan started doing this with the point of being the voice of reason, or I'm going to be out there getting the information out there. I'm going to make sure he wants to talk with his friends and have interesting conversations
Make
with
money.
interesting people, and and make money. Absolutely, right?
I think that's like a motivating thing. Like 50.
$100
I don't know
million,
many people
man.
that are motivated to have 1,500 conversations recorded and
Yeah.
put out there. You
Right?
know,
Yeah.
just because they like to do it. And once you start getting a check coming in, it's your job, and you have to keep things interesting. So I don't want to do another Sean Cuthand episode.
Rich out for a minute. Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, no, I thought you'd have some interesting shit to say about this too, because I just think to me it's like a weird nexus now of all these things we've been seeing, right? Where it's like this cancel culture kind of fucking thing, and more people that are on the left kind of getting the power and control that people on the right had for a while.
Yeah,
and now they're using it in
it's
the same
weird.
way.
It is weird for me because I always like I say I never had any political thoughts at all until I was in my late 30s, and to think I always kind of thought as of the left as being the sort of free spirit sort of against censorship and again, like I always thought,
Inclusivity,
yeah,
man.
just say what you want, do whatever you want, man. That's part of being free and being open. And I always thought I was surprised really when I learned a little bit about politics and what it even is. And then to find out that the people that I thought were more about, because I always thought left, okay, hippies, right?
Yeah, progressive.
Yeah, progressive. Like things that were banned and things that were not allowed should be allowed.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be ashamed of them, and you should be able to do this. I always thought it's more about inclusivity than anything, and to get where we are today, and you have people from that, who feel that they are in that mindset, anyways, to be censoring what other people are saying. Now,
And heavily advocating it. Like,
yeah, I don't really think that's cool. I mean, like you should be able to say whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Well, and they're doing it under the guise of they're protecting people.
Yeah.
We don't want to hurt anybody. We
What
don't want
about
to trigger
the
anyone.
children? So did the moral majority in PMRC, right?
And and what about being a free thinking fucking adult who can hear confrontational shitty things and still work through it and live? You know what I mean? What about that, folks?
But then when somebody comes back and says, "What about the children?" Let's go back to the trans issue. Like, what about the children that don't even know who they are yet? They haven't even figured out if they like boys or girls. They don't even know how their parts work. They're not even of age to have an orgasm yet, or ejaculate if they're a young boy. To say what gender you are when you don't even know how to ride a skateboard yet. You haven't even figured out who you are yet. I don't necessarily agree with the hypersexualization of children. I don't agree with the telling a child, well, you know exactly where you're at. And now I believe that there are kids that grow up. I've met them, a 7-year-old boy who lived as a boy but was born a girl, like in my daughter's school. And she's like, oh, that's so-and-so. But he goes by he, and I'm like, okay, that was all it took for her, But that's a 7-year-old boy, and he knew. It's not like 10 years old, 12 years old, I'm looking for an identity, and I read on TikTok that I can fit into a community if all of a sudden I identify as non-binary. What was it? I had a friend, 35 years old, lived their entire life dating dudes identifying as a woman. 1 week. Oh, by the way, it's they, them now. And I want to be considered non-binary. Your entire life, you weren't even gay. It's just like, suddenly I'm non-binary and you are oppressive against me if you don't respect my pronoun. Now, and if I say, wait a second, you transphobe? It's beyond reproach. You're not allowed to have that conversation. You're not allowed to ask that question. And
that just sounds like a shitty person, though. You know
it's
what I
a
mean?
shitty community in a lot of.
Is that the whole community, though?
No, the hyperactivist,
Sure, all the extremists of them. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
unfortunately,
I see
the
that.
extremists will tar the entire brush. Like, we could go into my concerns about the trans community, which I don't want to because I don't want to come off as being hypercritical. I've got good trans friends. I've played with trans people in the SM community. I've got so I guess I could say intimate trans friends that I respect deeply, and they live it, and that's who they are. But then I also see a movement of people that are jumping on board that are just doing it for, I don't know, I don't even know why. Like, I guess inclusivity points in a subculture where they can say that I belong to this thing and you're oppressing me. I don't like the right-wing rhetoric of snowflakes and oppression points. I don't buy that shit. But there's some issues with the trans community. Like, you no longer have to present as a woman, but you're still a woman. So Rich could suddenly identify as a lesbian female and not have to change a damn thing about his personality or his look, and he should, by the extremist trans rhetoric, use a female washroom, use a female changing room, because they don't have a right, because a trans woman is a woman, regardless if they present as a woman, regardless if they have surgery. Rich is now a lesbian woman. Boom.
Very butch one.
See, and I have no issue with
Yeah,
that.
me too.
Honestly, I have no issue with that.
So I could go into my the female changing
keep
room
your
at the
fucking
gym.
hands to yourself.
Well,
End of the story.
But I'm attracted to women with my penis.
Doesn't matter if you're gay and in an all men's room, you can't go around grabbing guys' cocks. Mm-hmm. Keep
You
your
don't
hands to
see
your
that-
fucking self. That's my whole thing about it. I've been in the bathroom when somebody brings their little kid in to piss.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If there was a pedophile in the room, what are you going to do, right? Keep your fucking hands to yourself. Simple as that. Nobody touches nobody. Everybody does their own thing. We've all used gender neutral bathrooms our entire lives, growing up in households and shit like that. Like,
So part of me, and a significant part of me, says that suddenly, if I decided that I am a trans lesbian woman, tell my daughter, you're calling me mommy now. I want to use female change rooms at the gym and female change rooms in the pool. Am I not just a straight guy with a fetish?
I don't know. You can define yourself however you want as long as you keep your hands to yourself. And if the rest of the fucking group
See,
is
I would
cool with you
love
being there, whatever.
Okay, so I would
Those are
love
the
to
rules.
live. I would love to live in a world where there's no need for binary washrooms.
Sure.
You need a
Yeah,
toilet.
right.
There's a toilet.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of open door
That's-
closed.
that's-
Just
yeah.
go into the bathroom area.
Yep.
But we unfortunately we don't live in that world. I think a lot of transphobia comes from people being afraid of predatory men.
Yep.
You know?
Exactly.
And
That's the problem
They're confusing
here.
predatory
That's the fucking
men
problem
with,
here.
with
Yeah.
trans people. And like
Exactly.
whether they're
And
predatory
then a
against
predatory
women
man would
or
use that.
predatory
Well,
against children. But they're dudes that are predatory.
Dude, it's
Very
so
seldom
funny.
are they concerned about the other angle.
So you
right?
brought up the J.K. Rowling earlier, and like the new book she's writing right now, and I think it's already released or
It's
whatever.
about a predatory man.
Exactly.
that
I'm like,
dresses
fuck,
as a
she
woman.
leaned into it. Hey, she's like, you can think what you want about me. I'm even going to go ahead and write a book about the thing that I fear, even though it's Is there a rash of that happening? You know what I mean? Are there gangs of men pretending to be women to break into restrooms to diddle
Probably
people?
not gangs of them, but there probably is some out there. Like,
Yeah, I know,
mean,
but that, no, the rules don't stop that, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
us
that's
having
right.
social graces doesn't stop any of that.
Yeah.
Intervention at an earlier age when they were burning cats in the fucking neighborhood stops that.
yeah.
If they're doing that.
'Cause
If
they
they're
are.
doing that.
If they're a sexual predator of some sort, they're doing shit like that when they're kids. They're exerting their dominance over things in ways they can.
Well,
They start
okay,
fires.
if they're
they
Well,
kill
the way,
stopping
the
at
way
that
they say,
point,
like a
if
lot,
they're
a lot
stopping
of
Anybody
at
who's
that
struggling
point.
for dominance issues like that.
serial
that's where they
killers and
start.
stuff kind of start out doing that kind of
Fucking
thing.
right, start small.
But chances are, like, if somebody's going to do something like that when they're an adult, they're going to do it whether it's in a bathroom that's not the men's room or whatever. They're
In
going to do
my-
it anyway, and I mean, they probably have already been doing shit. And if people aren't watching, what you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they do something dressed as a woman while they're in the
Hey?
while they're in the
You,
ladies'
any
room.
three of us are in a fucking bathroom somewhere and we hear what we think is a rape going on in the stall. We're not kicking that fucking thing open to find out what's going on. So if you have all gender inclusive bathrooms, there's a chance. Yeah, there could be a rapey man in here. Yeah, but there could be one who kicks the fuck out of rapey men in here too.
And I also know predatory gay women,
There
and
you
I
go.
also I know predatory straight women. I've drank under the table, woke up with girls' hands down my pants, tongues in my mouth, and I'm like, who are you? What are you doing to me? You know what I mean? But because I'm a dude, I'm not allowed to say that I was sexually assaulted. Socially, societally, it's like, oh no, you were probably, you had a good time. Guys like getting laid, right? Well, no, this chick took me home. I was blacked out, drunk, woke up, and I'm like, what are you doing? To my parts?
Definitely. You could people say, oh, a woman can't rape a man. Woman can't rape a man. You goddamn rights they can.
Yeah,
Because
blackout
look at it this way. Let's say you are a very, very dedicated married man. All right, you would never ever not ever, and you go to a party, you get really drunk, and you're in bed, you're with a woman, you don't know where the fuck you are. Maybe you think that's your wife. Maybe you don't. You know what I mean? You think that's you're not in your right mind, and then you wake up and realize what's happened, and yeah, you did have sex. So it's like, well, but I didn't consent to having sex with this person. I thought it was my wife, or I don't remember doing it. I was drunk, and I mean that is very much.
Okay, my story. Okay, I'll tell you my story, and it's a true story.
Yeah.
There was this person I was uninterested in, who's very interested in me, and social groups, similar social groups. We'd all go out, we'd all go partying, right? And I used to drink really heavily. One night I got really, really wasted, and this person wouldn't leave me alone. She wouldn't leave me alone, and I'm like, no, not really into it. No, I'm gonna drive you home. She takes my keys from me because she's gonna be a responsible friend. Pours me basically into my car, drives me home. I'm like, look, nothing's gonna happen. I don't want to. And then she gets me in my house. My pants are coming off, and I'm in and out of consciousness. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. All of a sudden, her mouth is on me. I wake up and I'm in my bedroom and I'm trying to get a condom, and it's on and off, and she's on me. I puked in the middle of it. I fell off the bed. I came back. She's like, "Are we doing this?" And then the next day, I get grief because the condom fell off. Who was assaulted in that situation? She was sober. So, like that to me,
Yeah,
you
that's
change the roles there.
Yeah.
If a guy did that to a woman
Yeah.
in the exact same context, look, I don't want to do this. No, I'm going to take you home and make sure you're okay.
Yeah, it's
Her pants are
absolutely
off.
it's absolutely predatory, and yeah, if a guy does that to a girl, you go to the liquor store and there's posters on the wall saying don't be that guy, and it's showing those situations, right? And it's like, well, it's the same thing. A woman can do the same thing.
But men are told not to feel that, not to express it, and to definitely not consider that you've been assaulted.
No.
Because that's not what we would consider an assault. But nowadays, with like 2020, that is like we need to apply these same principles equally, you know. And
Yeah, that's just getting missed in all this is the equality. There's again, it's a fucking pendulum swing. It always goes too goddamn far. Everybody makes a bunch of fucking. Well, it happened on the other side, so now we're doing it here.
But people don't want to hear about it when it happens to dudes because we're being framed as the traditional oppressor, and I'm willing to own it. You know, white privilege is real. Heterosexual, cisgendered men. You know, we've done a lot of shitty shit. Like, there's a system that keeps us in power, but that's not to say that certain people like. There's exploitive individuals on both sides. Men have been fucked by standards of what manhood is for years, years, you know? And it's funny, Savage Henry is a perfect example of like that amplified, almost, you know,
he's a
like toxic example
super
of it, right?
ego. Yeah, you know.
Don't tell me I'm toxic, motherfucker.
Yeah. It ain't just his masculinity that's toxic. It's,
Pineapple flavored.
But you know, it's funny. We were talking about what was it as far as toxicity goes. We cracked a joke about that age of consent. You know, this is our 19th episode, age of consent, and all of that. How many 80s metal bands had like Sweet 16? Motorhead had that song Jailbait, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how many of these bands just like, nope, you would not be able to fly in 2020. That shit is like once upon a time.
Did you ever see the album cover for Scorpions? Scorpions had an album called Virgin Killer.
Jesus.
Oh, it gets
Smell
better.
the glove.
It gets better. Scorpions had an album called Virgin Killer. You can still get it, but you don't get it with the original cover, which had a naked 11-year-old girl on it.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Scorpions.
Yeah, and they're pretty mainstream metal.
They're pretty mainstream. You're going to hear Big City Nights. You're going to hear Rock You Like a Hurricane on the radio. Mm-hmm. You know, and like I don't know if it was just that time and that place. Apparently the guy who designed the album cover, that was his daughter or something. I don't know what,
So it's
but
okay.
I mean, it's
Well, art.
to believe that, you know, like 30 years ago, 40 years, maybe it was 40 years ago, I don't know. Or, you know, it used to be, well, like guys, rock stars, like some pretty famous ones. I think maybe Steven Tyler had a like a 15-year-old girlfriend or something that the girl's mom just basically gave her to Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, all of these old school guys,
Yeah.
like that's a pretty standard like of cis het white dudes doing cis het white dude shit in a toxic manner, right?
Woody Allen.
Roman Polanski.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of that. It's kind of weird as an artist, right? Like, I'm a photographer too. I do that kind of weird stuff on top of the fetish stuff, but like I just do photography. And one day there was this bag I got with something, and it was like keep out of the hands of children printed on it and all this stuff. I'm like, hey Autumn, hold this bag against your face, and that's my kid, right? She's like, all right, and I do this and I take a quick snap, and I'm like, oh my god, it's a hardcore looking photo. But all it wasn't even on her head. She's just like, like a saran wrap. And I got in trouble for that photo. People are like, this is offensive. And I'm like, you don't even know how mundane that was. It was just my kid fucking around, and you know, there you go.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of weird, like where you draw the line. Is it art or is it really offensive, right?
See, and I think fucking shit like that should like help you draw your lines in regular life. Then when you see something that you think is offensive and you think, oh, they're abusing that child in some way, it shouldn't be like, let's cancel this art. It should be like, right, that's what that fucking looks like. When I see this later and I have this reaction, I got to remember to act on it then and not just go like, oh, yes.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's some complicated stuff when we're trying to navigate as dudes. What would you call it? Sexual politics?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, I think everybody's trying to navigate it, and unfortunately, in the fetish community, we've been navigating sexual politics for a very long time. Like issues of consent, obviously, what point you can give informed consent, and what you can actually consent to, which goes back to the mod con. You know, I used to say I will never play with somebody and do something that I can't fix. Pretty simple. I will never do emotional or physical damage to you that I wouldn't be able to put back together, give you a hug, and you have a good day, right? You know, and I won't accommodate that request, you know?
I'm going to start telling myself that all the time, just in regular life. I am not going to do anything that I can't put back together.
I won't smash anything that I can't glue back together.
It's funny how you know, some moral rules for S&M or whatever can just apply to regular life.
Grocery shopping.
Yeah, consent is very important.
Yeah.
And like, well, and so one of the debates that I had one time with actually a lesbian friend of mine, and I asked her, well, where do you draw the line on consent? Like, we talk about people that are nullifying parts, and she's like, well, to me, it's where you're doing damage that can't be undone. And I'm like, but I've tattooed people's slaves that want their master's name on them, and that's a permanent thing that, like, short of removal or cover up, can't be undone.
Fairly permanent.
Yeah. Some people, they do the splitting and the nullification. I showed you the picture of the slave that cut his balls and dick off to be a permanent slave to his master.
Didn't need to bring that up.
Right? You like that one? Anyways,
We're soon going to be back in chicken bologna country.
yeah, right. So they're consenting to that, and I don't know. I tend to be, as long as you're a consenting adult, you should have the right to do whatever the fuck you want with other consenting adults. And I take it to a dumb level where, you know, you want to go off to murder country. Fucking A, we should, like, set up an area where, like, the most predatorial among us can go off and sign off their release form, and I'm going to go into the jungle and it's kill or be killed here, and that's how I want to live. Fucking A, you go off to murder country, or you know,
you sign it away. Whoever catches me can kill me and cook me and eat me,
or vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, it's like predatory world, and you know, you can live stream it and put advertisements, so any asshole who really wants to live that life can sign up and just jump off, and you know.
They're not allowed to come back, though, right? We're keeping them on that island once they go there.
I think maybe once they win, they get a mansion.
If you win
know?
Murder Island, I don't want to see you.
They get on Joe Rogan.
He's out there giving them bow tips. Hey, yeah, you really want to stealthily sneak up on somebody.
George Carlin talked about it, where he wanted to have a big stadium full of, like, punch fest, and you get all, like, these, like, monster truck macho Americans that want to beat the fuck out of each other, and you full of alcohol, whiskey, PCP, and they just put them in a big arena and they beat the shit out of each other. There's one last standing.
That sounds fucking great.
That's
right?
2021 is bringing that.
Oh yeah.
Bring back the Circus Maximus, right?
Yeah, the
Gladiators.
somewhere in Donald Trump's 5th term.
Yeah,
that'll be
right.
There, you're talking DJT though, Donald Trump Jr.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know.
They start giving the MMA guys weapons, you know, big arenas.
Yeah,
He's gonna make Colby
Repurpose
Covington
the hockey rinks.
fucking Secretary of Homeland Security, I'm sure.
Who?
Colby Covington. He just won his fight on the weekend. Him and Trump are buddies. He's an MMA fighter.
Oh, okay.
He's a fucking douchebag. Actually, it was really funny that because he's just a piece of shit. Like he says the shittiest shit all the time. And him and John Jones, another professional MMA fighter, were roommates in college. And John Jones been just tearing him apart about having herpes online nonstop. They were cutting his promo for his fight coming up, and it's like a zoom in, and it comes in right on his huge cold sore. And he's like, "Geez, is it cold sore season again already?"
Jesus Christ! I hope we don't do a lot of ground game.
Yeah, his big
rub it against your face and shit.
Right?
What is this on my eyelid?
I was just north south down at the gym, baby. It's nothing. I wasn't cheating on you. I got in the ring with that Covington again.
North south.
Yeah,
oh my
north
god.
south action there.
It was just rubbing there. That was all. Oh my god, that would be horrible. Yeah, and that's why they have rash guards when they do MMA, right? To stop, like, what is that? What are the common
ringworms when you can pass around amongst wrestlers?
Ringworm and
I
want to say scabies, but is that another one?
I don't know about scabies, but yeah, you do get all sorts of like abrasion-related injuries and
Yeah.
Well, you get a
Athlete's
little
foot.
tear in the skin, and some bacteria gets in there probably.
I should have been lubing up more. Boxers at least grease their faces. Could have been greasing my body for jiu-jitsu. That makes sense.
Yeah, slippery.
Oh,
jiu-jitsu.
you'd never catch me.
Lock this. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in, I'm out.
Well, I have nothing written down, actually. I'm just kind of running off of our first little... Oh, Jared Leto has a cult.
Well, I read a little bit about that, but I
Is that
wasn't
the
sure if
yoga
that's
cult?
That's the
guess.
the guy from 30 Seconds to Mars, or 30 Minutes to Mars, or 3.5 Days to Mars.
Well, Jared Leto, right? Like
Yep.
he played the Joker, right?
Yep.
Briefly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got a band, his Mars band. I think it's 30 Seconds to
I
Mars.
did not know he was in that band.
Yeah, and
I haven't heard them either, but
They do retreats and they have like spiritual lessons, and he's got followers now. It's like a full.
there used to be
like,
a local band called something very similar to that.
I hope it's not confusing the two. No, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, but I mean there used to be Vacation on Mars. That's what they were called.
okay.
Never mind, not the same.
Okay, well, yeah.
They
So
start
that's kind
cult
of
too?
crazy.
No, they should have.
When you talk about artists
they might-
influencing people, you know,
Yeah.
the Savage Henry legions.
Well, yeah. I hate to, you know what I mean.
He's like a really white trash juggalo.
I hate to,
fucking
yeah.
everything.
I hate to think there's people out there that are living their life trying to live up to what Savage Henry says he is doing.
Somebody's working their way
But
through your album, so-
maybe there is. I don't. I'm always scared. You know what? I'm always scared. Like people invite me to. I have
parties and
well,
stuff.
I've got a good buddy down in that lives in Charleston, South Carolina, and 3 years running. I would have gone this year too, but you can't go to the States. So I go down there and play some shows. Sometimes The first year I went, I just played like unplugged, except I was playing an electric guitar, and that. But I'm always nervous when I go travel that far to go. I was like, what if I get down there and that guy totally expects
That guy.
or I get down there and he's like that, and I'm like, holy shit, and he's just like, yeah, man, let's go fucking bang some hookers and do a bunch of blah blah blah. And I'm like, I didn't come down here for that.
I don't
Really.
know if I packed for that.
Yeah, I mean, people are sometimes really surprised if they meet me to find out that oh, geez, you're not actually
Well,
that guy.
Let's to look at artists. You've got artists like Gigi Allen and then the Mentors or the Dwarves, and like how many of these guys are actually living their life like their lyrics, But then look at the old hair metal bands, like bands like Motley Crue were notorious.
They
Skid
were
Row.
living, yeah, they were living their life that way, yeah.
So yeah, where's that line
yeah.
get grade between what you're
Yeah.
writing about and what you're actually
Yeah,
doing?
I think the mask should be a pretty good indication.
If it came
I
out
wouldn't
with the
be
mask.
I wouldn't be singing these songs barefaced,
So what other bands are you in that you're putting music out with
Great, well,
that people can access?
yeah,
at least?
Great Shaken Fevers. And it's kind of, I don't know what you'd call that. It used to be rockabilly when we our first incarnation of that band was kind of a rockabilly band, and then it got a little more. It's rock and roll with we do some surfy sounding intros and there's some twangy guitars and stuff like that in it. And I'm the lead guitar player and lead singer in that band too.
Surf rock, yeah.
Yeah, and that's fun. And I'm in Ex Embryos. I play guitar. I'm one guitar player, so I play the guitar, and Brando sings.
They're a little more straight ahead rock and roll or punk rock. Right?
Yeah, that's pretty punk with guitar solos because it's kind of what I do.
I like the if you don't have a camera, it's a wanking motion.
It is definitely a wanking motion. I'm not the best guitar player in the world, and I usually can't repeat myself. When I do a guitar solo, it's a one-off thing. It's like dancing, but not choreographed. You know what I mean?
So you were also in Be Werewolf,
I was the lead singer in Be Werewolf.
another band I liked a lot.
That's 2005,
Yeah.
and a bunch of really talented guys from down here, and it was a fun band. It just kind of folded because everybody was at that point in their life getting too busy.
Yeah.
There was a couple guys in the band there just couldn't be bothered, just too busy. So
Families start happening at a certain age, People start
Yeah.
putting away that, the young man game.
I think that we're past that young man stuff too, or that young I mean, some of the guys have kids, but they're older.
Yeah,
you know,
they're still the wild men, but
Yeah.
they're old wild men.
Yeah, and then there's me. I never had kids. I got married once. That wasn't good.
Well, yeah.
And so I never had kids. Thank
Want
God.
to get into that? Though?
Huh?
Getting married once and that wasn't
I
good.
better not. Let's just say,
Things are still in court.
yeah, we're not divorced yet. So
All right.
I'd rather not say anything.
No, exes can be a handful. I know that. You know that. So yeah, let's see. Be Werewolf, and what other projects you got going on?
Not much. Just the those three bands, and I mean by have going, that's a pretty loose. I've been to one band practice in 2020.
Yeah.
And that was a Henry practice, and the other bands it's just like they
No
don't
Zoom
even
meeting shit or anything like that?
nothing. But although I think we're in talks to have Ex Embryos play at the Tahitian Room.
So explain Tahitian Room for those people that aren't familiar. You
Tahitian
can find it
Room?
on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah,
Okay.
my Corey, who plays
Buddy of
bass
ours,
in
yeah.
Savage Henry and everything. Whoops. Did I say Corey?
No,
I meant Rory.
Rory.
Yeah.
You know Rory.
Anyways, he's
Special
got
hours.
he's got a great little he's got a private tiki bar that he makes a mean Mai Tai. And it's a beautiful little place, and he's got that's where, well, I guess that's where we jam now. Only it's only ever happened one time, but there's a full jam rig in there, high quality amps, drums. It's all mic'd up, and there's a mixing board, and he's push button turnkey ready to go broadcast.
You just set up
onto
and go
you
give
can
her?
broadcast on Facebook. So if you ever see Tahitian Room on Facebook and there's bands playing, then that's what it is. It's his little studio for doing that, and it sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
he's got it
I
really
saw
dialed.
Old Tolerated did one.
Yeah.
And then the Streeters did one just recently.
We watched the Streeters the other night, and it was great.
Yeah.
And it was cool because he wanted us to tune in because we're at Kennedy's birthday party, right? So Mitch has this great big TV and this great big his living room stereo is that sound system that came out of Night Magic. Yeah. Right? So we're sitting in Mitch's house is a castle, right? So we're sitting in this great big living room having a party, and then we're watching on, some 70-inch TV or something, and we're watching the Streeters play down at Tishan Room. And in real time, because Corey's there working the mixing board and
like a
cameras,
digital party.
and he wants feedback. So I'm like, okay, lead vocals a little loud.
So it's
Next thing you know, the vocals come down a little bit, and you're watching this thing. That's pretty fucking cool,
Yeah, that is interesting.
And yeah, it's great. It sounds good. And if you see somebody sends you a link to bands playing in Tahitian Room, check it out, because the production quality is pretty decent, and it's a cool room. And in 2020, that's all we can do, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess not. They're having live shows now.
It's starting.
Well, I
Yeah,
remember
but it's
when
beginning.
COVID was in full swing. Harley Flanagan from the Cro-Mags got his band together, and they ripped through like their new songs. They were all like 10 feet apart and like totally like COVID social distancing. But man, they did a full set on, I think, Instagram Live or something like that. It was rad. What was it? Tahitian Room gigs. I'll remember.
Well, if anybody's checking out the Tahitian Room and you're in Saskatoon and you've got a band and you do want to fucking get on there, you should definitely contact them, because I know, Rory has been looking for more acts to get on there, and we're actually talking about maybe I'll do a stand-up set or something, and
That's a good idea.
Intro some bands and shit. We'll see, get some.
You should do that. I'll pipe in some laughter.
It'll be fun. We were thinking about having Brendo
Yeah.
just sitting at one of the tables and him being the only crowd, like the only audience member. So I'm just telling jokes to him and
Just laughing his ass off.
No, he's not. He's loaded drunk. Fuck, this sucks.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Get off the stage.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Be more accurate.
So I had heard on Facebook that they are taking a stand against streaming live bands, and I don't
Isn't
know
that
the details.
ridiculous? Yeah. They said that they will remove you from Facebook if you do this. Like literally what Tahitian Room is doing.
And, like,
So
what
they're
is the
gonna.
logic.
I can't see it. I honestly don't know. If somebody has an idea as to why that is, comment.
Yeah,
because
I'm at a loss, and how they're going to do it and why they're doing it. Like that blows my mind too.
Yeah, well, I know how they'll do it. They'll just banhammer whoever does what they don't say not to do.
Well,
But-
are there other streaming services?
I think you
somebody
can
could
stream
use?
on YouTube.
or Instagram, maybe. Well, the cool thing about streaming on YouTube is
Instagram,
you
you
can keep
can.
that up, and you could have a whole channel dedicated to like local.
Yeah, well,
music
I'm
artists,
pretty sure that Instagram does, because I always get notifications that so and so is live, right? So I guess you could do it there. There's lots of places you could do it. It doesn't have to be Facebook. Fuck them.
Yeah, well,
know,
that's just it. And I've
They're,
my
they're-
daughter, I asked her, if you had to delete all of your apps, all of your social media, which one would you keep? And she's 13. She's like, Snapchat. So, okay, so that's what the kid would keep out of TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat and probably 4 others that I don't know about. But she said Snapchat is the one that she would keep. TikTok is huge, but Trump is banning that, I guess, Monday. So
Yeah, they're. I thought they had a company taking it over. I don't know. I
Yeah.
stopped listening to the damn news. It's too upsetting.
Well, right, and is it real news? That's what
Well-
I've been wondering more and more.
Well, it's
it?
It's in there. It's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
I would say, and I mean, some broadcasters are probably better than others. I mean, like me personally, I'd like to watch the news. The way Tom Brokaw used to read it, just read it.
Yeah, this is what's happening.
And not everything all of a sudden is a opinion piece.
Propaganda is
Everything's an
slant,
opinion piece
yeah.
all of a sudden. Anybody, I don't like reading the newspaper or something and going, oh, this reporter obviously feels this way.
Yeah.
that should not enter into it. That's not real journalism.
Well, you'd like to think that.
It
news tells
yeah.
you what's actually happening, as opposed to, oh my God, these like settler fishermen
Yeah.
are doing all this horrible stuff, or the indigenous people are doing all this
Yeah,
horrible stuff.
it's too much. There's too much of it now.
There's a thing happening out. Oh, you haven't heard about this? Okay, we'll get political for a second. But there's a situation out east, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick area where There's a whole bunch of like big lobster fisheries.
Oh, and they're not letting the commercial guys fish, and they're letting the indigenous groups fish.
Yes, because it's an off season, and so the commercial guys are going and they're cutting all of the indigenous trap lines or lobster trap
But
lines.
the indigenous people are they're fishing with real gear, like they're fishing like commercial fishermen.
Much smaller,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
and so like there's a lot of headbutting. So the indigenous guys blocked, or maybe the settler folks. The fact that it's settler and indigenous now,
Yeah.
but the settler fisheries blocked off their access to their boats. They were shooting flares at their boats. They're threatening shooting guns at their boats. RCMP had to show up, but that's just it. Depending which news source you listen to, it's either these oppressed indigenous people that have never had their way and they've been screwed on all their treaty rights, or it's these settler companies that are saying, "Hey, we're trying to preserve the ecosystem," and they're doing fishing outside of the molting and like the breeding for the lobsters, so it's going to destroy the reef.
Yeah.
And so like there's nuance, there's context. The information needs to be there. I don't need your opinion on who's right and wrong, and I think that's news across the board, especially if I get it on Facebook. It's fucking ridiculous. I'm so close to deleting Facebook.
I've taken some breaks.
Yeah.
The whole month of January, I didn't go on Facebook or open a newspaper or turn on the news for that matter. I was that sick of the world.
Yeah.
Just Instagram, because all my Instagram is hot chicks, cats, art, and bikes.
Yeah.
It's pretty much that's all I want to see when I open my eyes, when I pick up my phone.
Well, it's weird.
Right?
I don't, there's too much politics, too much.
Well, and I'm involved with a lot of political people and like gender, sex politics, as well as like legitimate like social fascist like activism, racism, and stuff like that. And it's causing me so much mental and emotional distress that every time I log on, it seems I'm getting stressed and I'm putting my phone down more stressed than when I picked it up. It's my girlfriend pointed it out. She's like, if this is doing nothing for you, why are you doing it anymore? Or if it's actually doing something detrimental for you, why are you engaging with it anymore? And it's a super valid point, And then that Social Dilemma documentary really made me want to put it down. They basically shut it down, or they lay it out that social media apps are designed to click all your pleasure centers.
Get the
to
hooks in deep.
the same way as a VLT. Every
Yeah.
time you do it, it's what's going to be
Instant
coming up. Every time
gratification.
I pick it up, did I
Yeah.
get a like? Did I
Yeah.
get a comment? What
Yeah.
did I get to engage? And it's meant to just keep you using. But it's a digital cigarette. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so that's something I've been trying to keep in mind, especially when it comes to my kid. I don't want her, using cigarettes at 13, but she's got like 4 or 5 apps that she loves. She's glued to her phone.
Can't imagine growing up with this. You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, we had bullies, but I mean,
It was a different type of bullying.
they had to physically catch you before they could do any harm.
Well, they might.
I gotta hand it to some of my bullies.
Yeah. Well, they might,
They were good at it.
They could call your house and harass you, but it's not like they
Yeah.
could leave an anonymous message on a message board or
No.
dox you. Fuck, dox culture. Who remembers the dirty.com?
That wasn't that long ago.
No,
I
right?
guess it was probably 10 years. but
Lots
I
of
mean,
people don't talk about the dirty, but
Yeah.
the dirty was originally, hey, we're in a nightclub scene. These are the people that are spreading STIs in the nightclubs. That's what
Yeah.
it was first set up for. And then all of a sudden, I have a problem with somebody. I'm going to
It's just-
slander them on the dirty.
Yeah, it just became a tool to trash people.
And terrorize them.
Yeah.
And it ruined
Yeah.
girls' lives. I
Yeah.
think there was a suicide associated with it. Like, there was a while there. Well, I'm not going to lie. I found dancers on the dirty. I'm like, hey, you're really sexy. You got a bad reputation. You want a job? But
Figure you're halfway here.
yeah, you can make money doing that thing that everybody's calling you names for. But
I've got a story that I'm not even going to say here. I'll tell you guys after the.
okay, but dox culture was the dirty. Now it's funny. I just tattooed a guy the other day, and he has a friend that was doxed and lost his job for being a Proud Boy in Saskatoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his job found out. There was enough people that swamped his work and said this guy's a racist and da 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 da. They didn't know him. They
Yeah.
just knew the association and the reputation of the organization he's involved in, and said, "Oh yeah, he's a racist. We're going to tell everybody that your shop's racist if you continue to have him working there." He was a tattoo artist, and
People have a lot of muscle these days. You know what I mean?
social
You can,
media muscle,
and,
right?
and I know like, it's not real muscle, but it's the power of persuasion. You can I can persuade people to not come to your. I have 5,000 followers on here. I have people who will listen to me if I say this. Da 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 da.
So when the PC culture, or like social justice culture, started coming in, they defined racism not as prejudice based on racial boundaries, but having the power to enact social consequence based on race. Now, as this changes and those people start having power to erase your housing, to erase your job, to erase your livelihood, is that not racism then? If people are calling out that cis white het guy, or is that just consequence of the pendulum that you would say?
Well, that's kind of what it feels like, because I don't know that these people are being held accountable for just being white and straight. It's when they take, like, the Proud Boys guy. You're okay, you know what I mean? Like, you already, I'm white and straight, but now I have to join a group and make sure everybody knows it, and make sure that I'm out there speaking against other groups that are of the other. That gets to be a different thing, right? And again, that's that violent.
Depending on the
pendulum
narrative, because these guys would say that the Proud Boys were just a sarcastic, a bunch of good old boys that hung out and did their thing. But because in some different areas, some of these Proud Boys were assholes, they all got broad brushed, and he lost his job.
There's probably a
because of
bunch of easygoing
Same thing
Ku
with
Klux
Antifa.
Klan areas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's probably pretty mellow Hell's Angels too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's lesser versions of all these things, but I mean, why attach yourself to something that has that known thing about it anyways? Because you want to be part of it. You
Yeah.
know, it's even a lot of motorcycle
Or
culture. People want
Black
to
Lives Matter
wear all
and
the same
Antifa.
outfits and get close to it. Yep. Oh,
You
for
can
sure. There's
you
lots
can
of-
be
there's lots
pro
of
equality and not be
blowhards in those.
BLM. You can be
Yeah.
anti-Nazi and not
Yeah.
consider yourself
Exactly.
Antifa.
I think I'm anti-fascist.
I would like
think
to-
that
I would
all
like to think
Black
that
lives do matter. You know what I mean?
We're
And,
likely
like,
all
that's-
anti-fascist. I don't need to. I don't need to
I think
put
these
on a.
things go without saying, right?
I don't
Like,
need to.
we
I
all
don't
know
need
Black
to.
Lives Matter.
I
yeah.
don't. I don't need to put on a black
a cape.
cover. Well, it's hard for me to talk about not wearing a mask and stuff. Because,
I'll
you
put
know.
a mask, a cape, and
Yeah,
mind.
never mind.
Something different than what I've
You know,
been doing already.
if you got to put on a mask to say something, you probably shouldn't be. Oh, never mind. Yeah.
See, and that's well,
right?
You know, it's to say, I'd be sitting there watching these people rioting or causing shit in the street, and they got their faces covered. Why you got your face covered? You chicken shit? Oh,
Yeah.
well, and then actually, it's funny because like this podcast, it's public record. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? All the stuff I talk about, my kink, my lifestyle, like the silly
Yeah, it doesn't
shit.
go away.
No, it's
Somebody
going to
can
be
dig
there.
up,
And I told my daughter, she's like, "Can I listen to your podcast?" I'm like, "If you're prepared to have conversations about what you hear."
Yeah.
You know, because I'm willing to talk to you about anything we talk about if you want to have that conversation. But if you don't want the conversation, don't listen.
Yeah.
And so it's weird where I'm not writing this from behind the anonymity of a screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think you mentioned it earlier where two different personalities.
Yeah.
The person I am online is usually blunt. And like, you know, I use the words I think are most efficient.
a little harder to do it in real time, face to face.
Yeah, and you see me smile. You see me laugh. You see that, like, if my opinion, okay, if I typed out my questions about trans culture, holy fuck. You know, but when I talk about it, you get that, like, I'm not a hateful individual. I just have these concerns, right?
When you sent me that text last night, and you're like, "Yeah, here's your cancel culture," I was like, "Motherfucker, my cancel culture? What the fuck are you talking about?" Then I'm like, "Wait, it's bad, it's bad."
them's your boys.
That's not what he meant. Or even if it did, fuck him.
And then so
Your cancel.
okay, I have a friend. We all have a friend, and we have a financial debt that goes back a ways. And I'm like, "Hey, man, we need to settle that. We need to touch base and get to the bottom of it." He's like, "You're not going to intimidate me, man." I'm like, I had no intention of doing. This is just how I talk. I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we should meet face to face and have a conversation and work it out.
Because in text it
I'm not
comes
talking
across
about working it out.
in text
I'm like-
in a written like text or whatever kind of message things. I have a very good friend, and her and I do not communicate very well through text. It can escalate into something ugly really quickly. You said this, you meant this. I'm like, don't type in capitals at me, you know.
Yeah, you're yelling
it's like,
on me.
yeah, and it's like, but then when you meet up and say, this is what I meant.
Yeah.
If you'd heard me say it out loud, if you'd heard me say it, if I called you and said it on the phone, you wouldn't have taken it that way.
Yeah.
And then when you replied, I wouldn't have gone, "Oh my God, that was bitchy."
Yeah.
You know, and
I'm
you know, into this
screenshotting,
thing, and then
you
it all
said it over
yes,
here, and like-
yes, and then I'm just showing it to other people. Look what a bitch.
What do you
You know, and
think?
and it's
Yeah.
like, but then when you get together and talk in person, it's like, okay, well, this is how I meant to say it. you know,
And it makes me wonder if that's where the polarization on social media comes from.
largely part
Because
of it is.
context, nuance, personality, using your hands, watching the facial tics that
Yeah.
go with communication. Like, how much of communication is body language? Is how you move? Is how you laugh? Is it whether you're smiling when you're saying something?
Yeah.
When you remove all the subtlety out of the communication, it's only words.
Yeah.
Monotone, only words. You know.
I was just pictured like Victorian times and how people would speak so eloquently with these huge flowery paragraphs to say like, "Can I have the ham?" And whereas now we're communicating like,
Pass the bun bologna.
now we're like that ass dough. You know what I mean? Like that's
That ass dough.
That's what we got to.
Or what is that? Dub YD. Like they do.
Well,
like,
yeah.
these
Now you
young
can type
men-
the words.
Yeah, the young men don't even have the wherewithal to say, "Oh, hey, how you doing? I like your profile picture. I'm interested in you. This is mine." It's like, "What you doing?" But they can't even type "what you doing." Like Dub YD. Dub YD. Yeah, I don't know, man. We're going into some weird times with culture, and
The whole decade's going to be like this.
yeah, just gonna get worse
It's
and worse.
Oh yeah, if you think for a second, 2020 is just a hurdle we got to get over.
No, it's
Yeah, news for you. I think that we're going to see weirdness. There's going to be residual weirdness from this year that is going to definitely last at least the next decade, and maybe, and if not, like forever.
Okay, so think about it. I'm at the point where I'm
Masks.
almost going to... we're all going to wear masks. I'm at the point where I want to move out to my land. I want to get away from urban society. I want to, get away from social media and regroup me as a human being in an ecological kind of sense. I think there's a lot of people that are almost getting to that point. But then there's other people, as you would say, lean into it, and they get super tech. And they get deeper into that social media meme world. My daughter's generation is going to be so versed in social media and all of the TikTok dances and whatever the next app's going to be, that I may not even recognize the language she speaks in 5 years.
Well, it's funny. Language is evolving. It's always evolved. I mean, for a good example, go read some Shakespeare or the fucking Bible.
Yeah,
And you can't really. It's like, who talks like that? They used to talk exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you talk to them the way we were brought up speaking, they would go, "What kind of pig Latin?"
Yeah,
cavemen. And now, it's getting to, and you can rail against it. You can go, "Hey, that's not a real word. You're supposed to put two. Hey, they eliminated the second space after a period. Did you know that?
Oh, really?
In typing, did you ever take typing?
Yeah.
You're supposed to I used to double space after my periods in text messages.
Yeah.
And now it's like they've officially said that that is no longer proper, but slowly things are changing. Like you're
So many people misuse the word literal. They change the meaning of literal to
that's
mean figurative.
how it works. That is literally how it works.
Yeah. Well, no, it's figuratively.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Everybody's like, yeah, I literally,
Yeah.
my head exploded. My head literally exploded. No, it didn't. But now, according
Yeah.
to the dictionary, it
Well-
can also mean figuratively. It can mean literally or figuratively.
And
We've
things
done
can
it.
be.
We've done it.
Really done it. Hey.
Nothing means anything anymore. We're living in chaos. Gender's nothing.
No.
Our identities are more important than reality. And I'm going to go live in the bushes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mic drop. No.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you, man. Like I'm this. I don't leave the house as much as I used to. But then again, I'm always glued to my damn phone anyway. But yeah, I mean, you get a little tired of things. Like I pieced out for the whole month of January, and when I came back, Trump was still president. The only thing that changed was Kobe Bryant was dead.
And there's more fires.
And there's more fires. There's always more fires.
See, and that's whether they're in the cities, out of the cities, in the woods, like America's on fire. The whole thing's fucking on fire.
Yeah.
What was it? I just read today.
Politically and literally.
Yeah.
Under fire,
Literally
and
and literally.
underwater, and committing hate crimes against itself the whole time.
So I just read today that there's a few cities, New York City being one of them, that the Department of Justice has decreed anarchist-run centers that may no longer get federal funding because the mayors are not taking efficient enough steps to shut down the riots and the protests that are happening. And because they're not taking efficient steps, they're allowing their cities to become anarchistic. And Trump's,
You'll notice that those are only Democrat-run cities. By the way.
Yeah, I heard something about that too,
It's-
where
it's
he's like,
not-
"Who
it's-
gives a shit about COVID in the blue states?" Like,
Yeah,
what?
That's what he's doing. He's trying to attack these mayors in these cities for them not doing enough to letting it run rampant. He's trying to blow a lot of this shit out of proportion. Like even Portland, they said it was like 6 blocks. They said it wasn't 1/5 of the city like they're trying to claim. You know what I mean? Like
Can you
that's what they're
imagine?
trying to do. They're trying to blow
Saskatoon's
this
a
shit
small
out,
city.
and
A
that's
fifth of this
and that's
city
the whole
would be
reason.
a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it's to steal votes because he wants to defund these fucking cities as best he can, make them become the shitholes that he's been claiming they have been, and then go look at what the Democrats did to it.
That's a good point.
That's what he's
Except
doing.
he's been in charge the whole time.
But again, the logic of that is lost on him and everybody around him because they're still 4 years in going, look at the America you could end up in with Joe Biden and his liberals. Look at how it could be. And it's literal footage from the last 4 fucking years.
Yeah, it's interesting because if they actually got a
the guy in
progressive
charge.
leader in there, all of these issues would be addressed. Like the fires would stop because, like, okay, tell us what the issues are, let's try and solve it. But no, yeah, fuck, man, we're
Yeah,
living in
and you're
strange
denying
times.
climate change and trying to figure out how to steal everything you fucking can before they run you out of town.
Yeah, it's
Tough to do.
I was engaging with this guy online.
I'm gonna
they're
need
like,
another 4
"So,
years."
My friends from
Give him another 4 to straighten it out.
It's like my friends that from out of America. What is your impression of America right now? Like, what is your impression of what was going on here? And all I could put was a picture of a dumpster fire. Like, really, I had nothing else to say. We don't even know what.
This
the
is a
fuck's
little
happening.
glib, but it's incredibly accurate.
It's like having a little bungalow with a huge meth lab in the basement. That's like the buddy doesn't really know how to make meth, you know. So he's just like you're checking out the connections with a lighter. I'm waiting for everything to explode, you know. I don't know. Run off to the bushes, move to Europe somewhere, move to Finland. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, well, and the fear's fucking real, man.
I got a buddy
There's-
who lives in Finland.
I
hear good
got
things.
family down there that have been talking like, well, you know, after the election, you might just have to sneak up to Canada for a bit. And
We don't want your refugees either, motherfucker. Do you have cards?
you guys got the plague.
Yeah. We don't got the cash to build a wall, so
Yeah, I got this.
maybe a hedge.
We just got winter.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
keep
that'll
them
be
out.
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
minus
are a little
40.
bit like Siberia.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's very interesting. The amount of separatists that are actually existing in like Montana and North Dakota. Like, there's a huge amount of like those like ultra right wing racial separatists that live in that area, and it does go up to southern Saskatchewan, like well, and Manitoba and Alberta, where you've got a big area of geography that's not the most habitable, but if you don't mind that outdoor lifestyle, yeah, they don't want you.
Well, and all those people that enjoy that too have been riding generations of being there, monopolizing it too. They're like, my grandpappy's been here for the 9 generations back, and my whole family's been here forever. And yeah, okay, you guys are part of the problem then, right? You came here and stole this land, and then you've been continuing to live off the profits of your fucking criminal activity. Okay, cool.
So yeah, I talk a ton about colonialism and about how the indigenous people have been oppressed by like Euro-colonialism, and it's true. Like not just like it's happened in Africa, it's happened in like Australia, it's happened in New Zealand, obviously America, and
Literally the
Canada.
whole fucking world, man.
Yes,
That's what they
100%.
did.
Yeah.
But now what about this flip side where the opportunity for us to be discussing it on a worldwide web and to have these conversations is the result of colonial capitalism, where we wouldn't be able to dismantle or revise the system if it wasn't for the advancement that colonialism gave us. And this is like, it's kind of an interesting idea of context and nuance when, let's take, for example, like North America, or no, Canada, right? Yes, John A. Macdonald fucked people on the treaties. He also built the railroad across Canada that built the infrastructure that has the culture that we now
Well,
have.
using slave labor, yeah.
Well, okay, slave labor or whatever.
You can always find the good in anything. I mean, like slavery wasn't
Okay.
that bad if you look at everything it built.
So
all
one
of the
thing-
infrastructure in the U.S. is built, and up here is built on slavery to some degree.
Yeah, and that was a time, and now it's not there anymore, and so we've evolved past it. Just like I've got,
Oh, we're still feeling the benefit of it.
yes, 100%. Lots of people are, and even the oppressed people, or the generation after generation of that generation of the oppressed individuals, now have access to social media, now have access to hot and cold running water, now have access to streets and public transport, and as these things get tweaked in society, maybe we can create a better society based off of what that had built. I had a friend who tried to, well, he did say, well, you know, humanity without meat would have never left the jungle and gone on to the Serengeti or gone into, you know, herding cultures, which would be able to. So meat was a huge part of human evolution, and that's true. But it gets to a certain point when you're like, do we really need it to the degree anymore? Or can we let that be a thing of yesteryear? You know, and so I think when we talk about colonialism, when we talk about cultural, slavery or exploitation of individuals, yeah, it was horrible. It is wrong. It is ethically wrong. And there's going to be a time when we evolve past it. But do we throw the baby out with the bathwater? Do we no longer say that gynecology is valid, and we throw out all the information because the first gynecologist did it on unwilling female slaves in the Americans, or the American colonies? No, we don't throw out the baby with the bathwater and like gynecology because it was built on an atrocious fucking thing. We have to acknowledge atrocities happened. We're sorry atrocities happened. Colonialism was wrong. Can we build a new society based off of that infrastructure that it built?
Well, you have to. You can't go back. We can't just go, oh, geez, yeah, sorry. I guess I'm going to go look up my distant relatives in France.
They don't want us.
No.
Nope.
We can't. You can't go back. You can't undo things. You just have to deal with it the best you can. And I mean, it's difficult, and there's a lot of unwilling participants. And it's going to take a long time before things go away that are problems arising from that.
An ex-girlfriend and a friend, both with roots in South Africa, and I met her dad, who still is off and on, goes back to South Africa. She lived there till she was like 11 or 12, and she moved to Canada with her dad. Her dad was like in the Afrikaner, like military, so the pro-apartheid party. My other friend is a black guy, and his family is from South Africa. So when apartheid was dismantled, as it should have been, there should have never been this division system. When it was dismantled, the new people that came in decided to dismantle the infrastructure. So all of a sudden, schools got shut down. The roads started falling apart. Hospitals got shut down. The water and the electrical grid kind of wasn't maintained anymore because they considered it a colonial imposed thing. And they said, fuck your society. And so she was like, I don't really care about this. The dad, the old school, pro-apartheid guy, he's like, they've destroyed the society we built for them. And then my black buddy, he's like, yeah, fuck them. Because they were colonialists, and we don't want anything to do with their colonialism. Now, in my mind, I'm like, man, yeah, kick the colonialists out, get rid of apartheid, but maintain the infrastructure, build it. You run it now. Like, here, you take
You're
the
better
car.
off with it.
Yeah, like, so you can't necessarily whitewash it all, or you can't just dismantle all of it. And I think that's, nobody talks about that angle.
I heard a politician recently down in the States, and a Republican guy, can't remember his name, but he was talking about slavery in terms of I believe he actually called it the gift of slavery.
Yeah, well, fuck.
Like the way he framed it, and basically said a lot of that same stuff. I mean, a lot of people.
Thanks for tossing me in the same.
But I mean, he was saying things, they would be living in huts in the jungle.
Yeah, fuck.
Well,
maybe happy in their own country with their own families.
Right,
and
no,
their own...
that's the whole fucking that's the whole point of this, right?
They
can't
go
they
back
would be
either.
stuck like this.
Yeah.
They would have been living in huts. Isn't it better to be like this? And it's like, is it fucking though? Is it better to live the way we fucking do with depression and obesity and all the bullshit fucking shit we got to deal with in the modern world? Would not living in a hut maybe be better in some circumstances?
Well, it's tough because we're here now. Yeah. And I think in a lot of ways, this is a big dissidence between the right and the left, where the left has these idealized ways the way our world could be if we could change things, and the right say, but this is where we are right now. How do we fix it right now, right here?
Well, that's still something that connects to, and this is how it was.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you. Yeah, like it's worked for us so far, so why change it, right? Well, it's worked for you so far. You should change it because there's a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I look at it as a machine that's rusty and it's not running operation, or it's not. You need tweaking. You need a little oil. You need to tighten the belt. You need to do this. You need to do that. You don't just strip the whole thing down and just say, fuck it, we need a new machine. And that's kind of what the fascists want to do and what these communist people want to do. They just want to throw it all away. We're going to guillotine people. It's going to be a revolution in the street. No.
Arrests. Mass arrests.
Yeah, you just got to tweak. You got to oil. You got to figure out what needs where the problem is and try and
figure out where
solve.
the cancers are also in those societies.
Yeah, okay, if that's the model you want to go with.
The political fucking level is a lot of them are very cancerous. They get in there with these families that just manipulate shit for generation after generation, and Yeah, you get them so they don't have so much influence and control, and you can have a lot more balance in your fucking
Now,
society.
on the same token, in the impoverished communities, there's a ton of toxic stuff that just isn't being addressed, and it's kind of being whitewashed, or it's not whitewashed. It's being, we don't talk about that because if you talk about it, it's racist, and like I don't necessarily agree with that. I think everybody has to own their shit. Everybody has to do their little tweaking and lubing and tightening where they need to tighten and where they need to tweak and lube. But it's not just one people that are the ultra villain. You know what I mean? And both sides really wants to villainize the other side.
No,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's just the ones that have money and control in those groups too that want to continue to do that. People on the base level don't want to villainize their fucking neighbors, but somebody else is going to tell them the reasons why because there's more money to be made out of that.
Well, look at the fishing situation. Both sides are like at each other's throats. Like, man, it was scary. I watched a live. Oh,
Here, break this one too.
I watched about an hour of a live stream of like the protests when these guys are, and I don't know if you've ever seen fishermen like they're big dudes. It looked like two fucking football teams nose to nose, and I'm like, I hope these guys don't swing. And it was probably about 15-20 minutes before the first RCMP guy shows up, and he's like, okay, we need to create some distance here. Hey, okay, you gotta go over here. They're wearing ball caps and shit, just regular cop guys, and I'm like, holy, because if those guys would have got into it, it was gonna be scary. And but both, they're like, fuck you, like so angry, and they're just like enemies. So where's the mediation? You know what I mean? Like, okay, so we have a problem here. How can we tweak it to make it better, as opposed to letting these guys get like right at each other's throats, right? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not pretending that I have solutions. I just see more context and nuance than this binary. Like you can't say all colonialism was evil. You know what I mean? Because in a lot of ways, colonialism created the society that we all take for granted right now, But there's a ton of colonialism that did horrific shit. Any more than, like, the romanticized version of this pre-colonial idyllic world where everything was great, and your life expectancy was 23.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure they had. I'm sure they had plenty of bullshit.
Yeah.
Then too.
Yeah.
Well,
men,
smaller
women,
scale.
Yeah.
Still, yeah. You probably still had your, predatory guy dressing up
Yeah.
as women.
Yeah. Doing
I don't,
whatever
I
kind
don't
of
know.
monstrous
Using
shit.
the wrong bathroom. I don't.
the wrong.
I don't know what.
Wrong hut hole. But again, here we are, a bunch of mostly Caucasian dudes, that we're coming from a vantage point of having privilege and bouncing ideas off this stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what though, but for all three of us too, we come from that privilege of being white and male, but we also come from probably the least privileged layer of society also, you know what I mean? So we have a lot of shared experiences with people that never had privilege.
To a degree,
Whereas
we've
we've
been-
had shared experiences with people of privilege also that those people that
Yeah.
never had it wouldn't either. So we're kind of a nice in between. I'm just poor enough and still just white enough.
Just a
that
little
I can have
traumatized.
have the right amount of experiences to
Not
connect with
heavily
everyone.
traumatized. Yeah, I don't know. Well, some people have more trauma than others, and some cultures have more trauma than others, and some have very little. You know what I mean? Like the silver spoon, rich kids from like the neighborhoods of town where they got everything they ever wanted, I could never relate to, I go down to 22nd and Avenue P, and I'm like cracking jokes with the guys at the arcades there. I'm like, well, I guess these are closer to my people because we have the same economic background, same sense of humor, blah, blah, blah. It didn't really matter what color they was. But if I start moving into the hood, I start noticing that, like, yeah, this isn't really my scene anymore.
Yeah, they do things different.
It's getting a little
Right
dark
side.
for me,
Yeah.
Like, and that's not to pass judgment. I'm just like, no, this is not my party zone, right?
Well, and they felt the same way.
100%. Who's
it was,
this guy?
It was
you know?
mutual, yeah.
Yeah.
The fuck are you doing out here?
Yeah, I was talking with that guy who was talking about the Proud Boys stuff, and he's like, so what happens when the Antifa guy who's like, punch a Nazi, get out there and, do all the Black Lives Matter stuff, the average white, Antifa guy gets arrested, let's say in California, and gets tossed in a California prison system. Whose lunch table does he sit at? Where does he fit in?
Well, that's a good problem to have, though, I guess. If you go to jail, what group do you fit in and you don't know which one? Well, I'm not a Nazi, and I'm not dark enough for that.
Is that a
and
good
I'm not-
problem to have, to be the lone guy that can't click up
I would like to think I just
in a
wouldn't fit in the
predatory
groups in
environment?
jails. I shouldn't be. That's a good thing. I would like to think that, he goes in here. He just doesn't fit in.
Yeah.
There's not one group that he's good in here. Doesn't really just blend in.
No.
But I know what you're saying.
Because-
and I'm sure it'll be an issue for him. Then he'll probably have to shave his head and get a bunch of tattoos he's going to regret.
Or, just
Like
invest in
many
lube.
of them do.
Invest
Well,
in lube.
there you go. Yeah, he'll get a copy of Russian criminal tattoos and
Yeah,
try to
that,
figure out which ones aren't going to get them penetrated.
we talked about that in the last podcast. I've been reading that Siberian Education by I think his name's Nikolai Lilin, and it's the most atrocious fucking book I've ever read. Like the atrocities that well, no, I guess I could read a book on Rwanda. I could read a book on like the Congo. I could, or Jamaica. But like as far as like Europe goes, to be in a criminal fraternity in Russia in the 80s, where brutality was the order of the day. Glasnost opened up the prison systems. So like the prisons, this guy was a juvenile. He got tossed into juvenile jail, and the guards would grab the prettiest boys and rent them out to child pornographers. And then those kids would come back to the group cells of like 100 kids with extra food and crayons or whatever, and these other kids would victimize them from that point on because they were the femme little boys, and so these kids were just meat their entire time that they were in these prison systems. It was I read some of the chapters in the book. I couldn't fall asleep because I this stuff would be working its way in my dreams, and like it was fucked. And in the Russian criminal tattoos, you were half naked all the time, so even kids would be marked with what they got charged for, where they fit in the prison system, and that was on them forever. And if you ever got caught cheating at a card game or didn't pay a debt, you got tattooed with an outcast tattoo, and for the rest of your life, you were just like beaten and used and whatever. It's insane. So, but I anything that I've ever dealt
So once
with.
again, I'm glad I don't fit into any of the groups in prison.
and that's Russian prison. So yeah, it's kind of a weird one. Like when you go to jail, like and you've got that righteous view, and you're suddenly put in a situation where might makes right, and everybody's a predator, and you don't want to be the predator, and you're stuck in that environment. Like fuck, I wouldn't even want to be.
You gotta fix the prison system too. Then I think it's be more like
Everything needs to be
that's
fixed.
Fucking
Yeah.
rich, man.
Everything needs
Yeah.
to be fixed, or do we just own the unfortunate
Well,
fact that
and-
this world is broken and fucked?
Well,
and
and
like,
what's crazy is
that's
though,
just how it is.
I think a lot of these people have never built something from scratch. They don't understand how fucking difficult it is to start out with nothing and rebuild everything. It's a fuck of a lot easier to fix a car and repair parts on it than build one from scratch. And I think that's kind of the point they're missing, right? Is like they don't realize what the fucking work that's going to have to go into it. The reason we have these systems is hundreds of years of fucking advancement,
Working it out.
trying it out different places, right? And you still got to fucking keep working on it. That's the same as the people that think that we need to go and populate Mars. I think we should. I think it'd be awesome. I don't think we do it to escape our problems here. You know what I mean?
Earth too.
Well, you got to terraform a whole new planet, or you could just fix the one that's already there. You know what I mean? Like it's obvious when you say it like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of these people don't get caught up in that, right? Well, no, we'll tear it down then. Well, you just use the money from tearing it down to fix it up. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
See-
And you don't think when all that shit happens that all the money wherever you are is going to take the fuck off to Russia or some other place where they can hide and hoard their wealth and do what they want?
Well, man, I love Canada for this reason. I think that we've got a pretty good balance of a social safety net that obviously needs a little tweaking and tightening, but a social safety net, enough free enterprise where you can make a living and you can get ahead in life. I think that Canada is a pretty decent system. They talk about Norway and Finland and stuff like that as well. And but obviously we need to tweak. Like reserves need clean water. Native people need respect. All of this we all need to kind of get along. But there's much less tweaking in Canada than needs to happen than in the States. The States. That's why I think there's such a dumpster fire. Is because like they're recognizing these problems and they're so deeply ingrained. They're a lot harder to tweak. Like it's a very damaged machine operating.
And there's still so many people that even once they realize it, that are like, well, no, but I benefit from this. Why the fuck would I?
And
they
I got the
generally have
money.
and influence, right?
Yeah, if you benefit and you have the money to influence the system, that system probably isn't going to change,
Right.
No matter how many people. So it's like that very tiered, the haves and the have-nots, right? Oh, except I said the haves on the bottom, and the have-nots are up here.
Ah, fuck. I don't know why, but that just makes me think of like a shepherd's pie. Layers, I want a shepherd's pie.
You like shepherd's pie? I can't
fuck,
handle
dude,
it.
some
No.
Mashed potatoes.
Even when I ate
fucking
meat,
peas.
those were foods I just
Even
didn't
with,
dig.
Oh,
veggie ground
Really?
round.
I love
make,
it,
I make
yeah.
shepherd's
Really?
fucking pie with the veggie ground round. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've never liked mashed potatoes, never
Oh,
liked
man.
bananas, don't
No.
like baby food,
Oh, the mushy you don't care for.
No,
eh?
no, I like crunchy
Oh,
stuff.
Yeah.
As long as my teeth will hold out, I won't go back. As long as I got them, I want to utilize them.
Chomping in an ashen.
This one came out in a chicken wing. One time, I was eating chicken wings at Amigos, and I had damaged my teeth in a motorcycle accident. That was it was a crown on a little ground down little nub, and I guess the little nub was
Just had enough.
slowly breaking off, and I was eating this chicken wing, and all of a sudden there's something hard, and I thought it was a broken piece of the bone from the wing, and I pull it out, and like, God damn it! Oh, I'll
Put a
save
tooth in my chicken.
Fuck, I'll save that and get it put back in. Oh, that was like 14 years ago, right? Now it's iconic,
Yeah, yeah, right.
right?
I
Look
remember
weird without it.
I did the Savage Henry Tiki Bar mask, and then there was a smoke machine that blew the smoke out.
I forgot
you
about
know?
that one.
Yeah,
I was gonna,
out the hole. In
I,
the
I-
tooth
I was
and
thinking how many images of Savage Henry. There's Graham drew a T-shirt design once.
Yeah.
That has a very realistic likeness of me on it.
Is that the Gonzo
Yeah,
cover?
the Gonzo one, and it's got tooth out.
It's kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, and somebody recently did a sculpture, like it's about this big. It's just a little. I should have brought it. It's a little like mask. And
Okay.
It's only yay big, but it's got the missing tooth is in it, right? And then there's
So if you ever see this
tiki
guy
bar
walking
thing,
around
yeah.
the streets, you know.
Yeah,
That's the man.
that's it.
Anything
It's
else?
the, way
on the
it's the only way you can tell it's me.
That's it.
That and your musk.
That's the only. Yeah, well,
And now you're the man that behind the mask.
just a-
this is
Man
the
just
behind
a,
the musk.
with just a hint of coconut.
cocoa
Yeah,
nuts.
That's all I ever
man
wanted.
behind the mask.
Yeah, no, I didn't have nothing else written down. I was just looking forward to basking in the glory.
I'm
of
just
it.
happy to be here, man.
This is
Do you have
nice.
anything coming up that people could check out, or how they find out more about your band?
Savage Henry and Infamous One Pounders. You can add Henry Terrence Savage on Facebook if you like. He does talk some shit.
Yeah, if you want some fucking cheap entertainment.
Yeah,
add
it's
that
cheap,
guy.
all right, in every sense of the word. Spotify, Savage Henry and Infamous One Pounders on YouTube also. And I think we have a Facebook page that we never look at.
Yeah, that
But-
happens nowadays. I think it's going
Yeah.
to be happening more and more.
Yeah, but yeah, and I mean, keep your ear to the ground. We'll probably be playing at the Tahitian Room before long.
Very
And
good.
hopefully live and in person sooner or later.
Yeah, who knows? Live music might be a thing of the past.
For a while. I mean, they're having some bands at a few places. There's no dancing allowed.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
We're playing a show on the 2nd.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that.
You should have like social
Nobody
distance
told me there were
cubicles for
any
moshing.
dancing.
You're only allowed to bounce off your own four walls.
yeah. We were at Bud's maybe a month ago, and Apollo Crews was playing, and there was like, but you weren't allowed to dance. You couldn't get up and dance.
Strange
Yeah.
times.
It's
It's the new normal.
Oh God, nothing's ever going to be normal again.
No, I think that's it. I think that nothing will ever be normal again. I think there's just going to be another pandemic. This isn't just a
probably.
one-off.
Yeah,
There's gonna be a new one.
watch this now. It'll start being, every couple years there'll be another one, and it'll be weirder.
Yeah, yeah. Shit's
And
on
worse.
fire and everybody's dying. That's
Yeah.
welcome to the new normal.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Keep following us on like Facebook and Instagram. And
That's stuff we're on.
shit. I don't know.
Spotify,
yeah,
Vimeo.
check it out.
What
And,
is it? Linktree. If you go to Linktree, it's Big's podcast. It's I don't want to try and spell out the link. It's like T.REE. I don't know. But yeah,
find it.
Linktree. Big's podcast.
Subtle
Look us up.
searching.
Look us up.
Maybe I'll start getting my shit together, put it all in one place.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have a
What else we
donate
got
button
going
one of these
on?
days.
Yeah, I'm gonna do more stand up. So I don't know if I'll ever bother knowing in advance what it's gonna be. But if anybody out there's listening, and you're in Saskatoon, and you hear about open mics and stand up going on and shit, go check it out.
Tahitian Room. Keep your eyes on the
Yeah.
Tahitian Room.
Yeah,
Lots of
Tahitian Room.
good punk bands will probably be like I wouldn't expect to see
Yeah, very
anything
cool.
but.
Well, that's a nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice way to get bands exposure in
Yeah.
Saskatoon. You can follow me for vegan straight edge propaganda. You know, I'm a real fucking wild one. I'm a party animal. No. All right. Thanks. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.